Uh, Hello everyone. Yeah, it is I, Marshall Bohemond, and you're here to suffer with us tonight. So, context. I remember vaguely commenting on this video, like, almost 3 years ago now. Like, hearing about it, but not watching it because it's Vaush and he's an idiot, so, like, I just said he has no right to opinion on Warhammer. I put it out of my mind. Well, Millie here apparently saw it getting posted online. It was like, hey, look, Vaush did this. And like, oh boy, maybe we should finally sit down and watch it. So I brought Ash and Psyche and Millie along to suffer with me. Yeah, Psyche.
I can open a cold one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so other than it's, Vaush having opinions on Warhammer 40k, which he has no right to have, as far as I'm concerned, I don't really know what this is all about. So, in that regard...
I saw a minute of it, and I want to fucking, crash my car in Forza is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, into a school. In Minecraft.
Yeah, that too.
In Minecraft. In Forza. Alright, but, yeah, so I have no context about this, other than the fact he made it, and it's Vaush, so it's gonna be stupid opinions. It's also 42 minutes long. I apologize for that. So let me just turn on the subtitles real quick. There we go. All right, everyone. Hold on to your butts. If you're watching the stream on, on Discord, so y'all can keep up. Hold on. You are? All right. Yeah, we are ready. We're gonna fire up this pain train. So here we go.
So the only reason I'm talking about...
Allow me to immediately say, I fucking hate how his voice sounds, by the way.
I think he sounds fine. It's attached to him, and I don't like this man, so...
I legitimately think he does that vocal fry thing where he tries to, change how his voice actually sounds when talking. I can't stand it when people do that.
About this is because you guys are, but I want to really quickly describe a setting, and then I want to talk about why that setting is really popular with a lot of far-right people, and then I want to talk about why I think the people who like it for those reasons are really missing the point of that setting.
Okay. Real quick, let's take bets. Missing the point. Take bets on some things he's going to say.
I'm going to take a bet on that he's going to claim that the setting was made from the very beginning to be satire on fascism, and that the people who really like the Imperium misunderstand that they're agreeing with the bad guy, and that makes them fascists.
Okay, there's a very safe bet, but it's a bet. Millie, what do you think?
I think Homeboy is gonna start pal dick sucking. That's my fucking bet.
Okay, let's see what else. Psyche, any bets?
Possibly we'll be touching on how some factions are meant to represent minorities.
Yeah, I'm guessing
that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Also, I'm going to make the bet he will bring up female space marines at some point. That's my bet. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
Okay. So, Warhammer 40k, get your soys out of the way now, because if you soy every time I say it, you're going to be soying the entire time I talk about it, Warhammer 40k is basically like a broad, media environment. It's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe where they've got the
See, I told you he says it.
Fucking kill me. Fucking kill me.
You thought I was fucking memeing? No, bruh. He fucking says it. I wish I was joking about that.
It's like... Okay, listen. Anybody who takes the idea of a multimedia franchise and immediately compares it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is somebody who has never had experience with multimedia franchises before the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because, casual reminder, James Bond and Godzilla were doing that shit before the MCU existed in the fucking 60s, alright? So... yeah. Anyway,
I'm shocked at how easy it is to go compare everything to Marvel now. That's like another thing.
All right, let's go.
comics and the movies and the games. It's like that. It's basically set in the future, about 40,000 years in the future. So coincidentally,
38,000, but anyway.
Where the entirety of the galaxy is being fought over by humans and a bunch of alien races. And it's cool, and there are tabletop games and video games, and a lot of the stuff surrounding it is really awesome. I've played tabletop Warhammer. I have painted miniatures back there, and
Vaush, those aren't those are clearly not painted.
But like, I have bad eyesight, so I can't really see what's there. Like the focus
Nah,
isn't right.
it looks like there's one or two that are painted. It might just be the lighting affecting them.
Maybe, but no, seriously, you can clearly tell, like, maybe like this one, like maybe like there's like maybe one or two in there that are painted. The rest are all gray. I mean, look, I'm being a hypocrite here. I fully admit that. Because I have trouble getting my minis painted, but like, fuck's sake, man, don't talk about how you've painted so many minis when, like,
I will say, however, I think everyone with a plastic crack addiction has a backlog.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't criticize him for having a backlog. I'd criticize him for, anyway. Yeah, let's keep going.
unpainted miniatures. Video games. I really like.
Okay, no, you
Battlefleet
continued
Gothic
and said
Armada,
Okay.
and I played a
unpainted.
lot of
Okay, credit
Total
words
War
too.
Warhammer 2, though that is
Yeah,
Warhammer
no.
Fantasy, not
Let's
40K.
try and wait for him to
There's a
finish
lot
the
of good stuff
statement.
there.
Then
And
say
if any
stuff.
of you are
Yeah.
interested in examining it, I strongly encourage you to do so, because there's stuff in there that I think appeals to pretty much anyone. In particular, the subreddit Sig Marxism is a
Oh my.
Sig Marxism.
Oh, Psyche, you've never heard of Sig Marxism?
Hold on, I will
No,
go
I've
there
heard of
right
it.
now. I will go there right now, and let's see what's on the front page. Yeah, I expected as much.
Read a thread title out loud. Pick one at random.
All right, here's the first one. Finished my new Canoness, and it's a little mini painted with the my people colors, is what I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay. That flag. Okay, yeah. No, that doesn't surprise me.
Which that just as a person who reps that flag, it's just a little annoying sometimes.
Okay, a little context on Sig Marxism. Have you ever heard about the Arch Warhammer controversy? They were the people who made the fake screenshots that they used to try and cancel Arch Warhammer. Like, they didn't like him because he spoke out against woke shit, so they worked with another 40k personality, Norn Queen Alexis, to fake screenshots, and then take a bunch of others, like, way out of context from his Discord, and, like, you know, basically try to get him canceled. And then
Can we examine this photo I just found on there too?
hold on, let me put it in DM me.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
Yeah, all right, let me see this.
I saw this and I was like, ooh, okay.
Okay, yeah, hold on. This should pop up on the screen the moment yeah, there we go. The hobby should be free from politics. We should be free to express our right-wing politics. I'm just gonna quick point out before we get back into the watching this moron try to talk about Warhammer that I've noticed it's a problem with the left where they can't seem to believe that just because somebody from the right doesn't want they seem to view everything as political. They don't think you can be apolitical even if you have politics of your own, you know?
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who's a lefty-wefty, I'm annoyed. I just want to enjoy the cool Space Marines, dog. Is that too much of a hassle?
Yeah, you mostly get it from the Gundam fandom because Xeon.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a whole different plate of worms we're gonna fucking dive into one day.
Yeah, we'll have to do that one day. But all right, yeah, okay, let's continue.
a left-leaning Warhammer 40,000 subreddit, which I think
Left-leaning, it's
is
communist.
pleasant and nice because it gets around some of the elements of the community that I will talk about in a second. So here's the basic story, and I'm skipping over like everything, so forgive me. But the basic story is this, okay? Humanity existed as it did in our world, and then we fought a bunch and invented faster than light travel and expanded across the galaxy.
He's immediately getting this wrong because humanity in the backstory was basically they were basically the Federation from Star Trek. You know, they didn't want to fight. They were like, enlightened, technologically advanced. They wanted allegiances with aliens. It's like that's like supposed to be part of the tragedy of it. And so saying they fought a bunch, it's like humanity, they wouldn't roll over and die, but like, if they were being attacked, but they weren't going to sit there and take it on the chin. But, it's like humanity didn't get the original Federation through pure conquest. That's like straight up wrong.
Galaxy, and it was super cool, okay? The age of technology. We invented stuff, we spread out, we had a great time, okay? But then, oopsie doopsie, it turns out that psychics and magic are real, and magic comes from hell, and hell is everywhere, just barely beyond a thin veil of power that you can transpose if you're psychically talented. And well, people started getting psychic powers and doing cool shit like blowing up entire cities and turning everyone's skin inside out, and they didn't know how to control their powers, and humanity got really, really bad really quickly, and we were spread all over the galaxy, and we had no way of dealing with these issues.
Okay. Here's the thing with Vaush. The thing I will admit with Vaush is that he is actually a smart guy, but he is incredibly politically intoxicated. And so he will always reframe everything to suit him knowingly, right? He's leaving out so much shit that went on, like the AI rebelling, the Eldar murder fucking Slanesh into existence.
Yeah.
Which by the way, it was the psychic emanations of that caused the first wave of human psychers to be created in the first place. So he's leaving out all culpability from things other than humans.
Yeah, I
and what
figured
happened
he was
then
going to
was
go
the Age of
humanity
Strife.
bad.
Yeah.
5,000 years or so of humanity tearing itself apart, of warp storms encompassing the galaxy so communities couldn't contact each other, planets couldn't...
Notice he frames it as humanity tearing itself apart like they just did that for no reason and not because they're, the conditions that caused it were set upon them by others.
Hail, their home planets, and starships couldn't go into certain systems, and just everything fell to shit, And then, around 30,000 years since the birth of Christ, a guy called the Emperor was born, or maybe just made himself evident to humanity.
The Emperor existed in, around 5,000 BC. Like, that's in one of the novels.
Yeah, the homeboy's, what is he, like
he was super
little Turkish man?
Anatolian.
Anatolian.
Basically just proto-Turkey.
Yeah, the proto-Turks. Yeah, he was an ancient Anatolian from like 5,000 BC, 8 to 5,000 BC, somewhere in that ballpark. It's not exactly known. And the thing is, too, the novel where that's described came out like in the 2010s. So yeah, Vaush should if he claims to be a Warhammer fan, should know this.
Powerful and super cool and super knowledgeable, and he was like, hey, I'm going to unite humanity in a great crusade. So he did that. First he conquered Earth, called Terra in the future, and then he sent out a bunch of super soldiers across the galaxy to reunite all of humanity and try to turn it into one great Imperium of Man. And the Emperor was a couple of things. Well, he was fiercely secular. The Emperor of mankind proposed that his agents spread the imperial truth. And the imperial truth was that there is no God. There are no superstitions, no demons, no angels, no God. There is the material universe and nothing else. One thing the Emperor felt was that with a universe as big as it is, humans had an unfortunate tendency to reduce themselves to superstition when given the chance. And he felt that hurt humanity. So he suggested that, no, we should militarily enforce secular values. The Great Crusade went out and essentially found and reunited humanity, and when they found religions, they would crush it. They would kill entire, clergy classes, burn the priest cities to the ground, destroy and bomb cathedrals. They would do everything that they could. And the Great Crusade went out and further and further.
I feel like he's basing that off strictly Monarchia. That was the, Lorgar's thing. And that was strictly because, he repeatedly told Lorgar, hey, don't go telling people I'm a god. And Lorgar just would not listen. And then the Emperor found out about Monarchia and was like...
Don't talk shit about my Primarch.
Yeah, I kind of have to here. I don't really have a choice.
Fuck.
But yeah, it's like, he kept telling... He told Lorgar not to. Lorgar did it anyway. And then he raised Monarchia as a, we raised Monarchia to basically try to finally drill the point into Lorgar's head to not fucking do it. Like, that's the whole point there. The Great Crusade would not the Great Crusade only fought humans when humans fought back. That's a thing to keep in mind. If a human world attacked in the Great Crusade, the Emperor would have the Great Crusade attack it back, obviously. But if they just ran into people and the people were like, oh yeah, cool, we'll join. They were like, okay, cool. Welcome to the Imperium. They wouldn't, yeah. That's so anyway.
And some people talk about the politics of this age, the Great Crusade, which was when humanity for the first time in thousands of years seemed like it had a future, and there were elements of the Imperium of Man that were very far right at that time. And there were elements that were pretty left-leaning, and then there were elements that don't really work within our modern understanding of politics. See...
Yeah, Vaush, that's the whole setting. That's the whole... You can't compare 40K... This is going to be... He'll do this through the whole video. I'm fully aware of this. You can't compare 40K to modern politics. It is so outside our concept of our modern concept of politics and morality that you can't compare it to either. That's the thing. It is a speculative political and moral situation. You have to take it in the context of its own setting. And I know Vaush believes in the Thermian argument, so he won't do that. But all the same, that's how you have to view it.
The left and the right politically are really relative terms, and our understanding of politics here on Earth in reality today are informed by the material conditions that we live in.
He's going to go back on what he's saying right now later in the video. I promise you that.
10,000 years in the future, the systems of politics that we understand today might be made utterly irrelevant by changes in technology and changes to our communication and our culture. I'll say this much. In 30,000 years from now, nobody will use the word socialism, okay? Nobody will use the word socialism or capitalism. The world set before us that far in time will be so alien to us that our modern systems of understanding political action will not apply. There will be other battles to fight. There will be other things to care about. There will be other issues to concern yourself with. That's not to say the fundamental underlying issues, equality versus hierarchy, might not still be important. In my opinion, they still will be, but it'll take a different shape. So with the Imperium of Man, circa the Great Crusade, was it left or right-leaning? Well, some stuff was pretty right-leaning. First of all, due process was more of a suggestion than anything. The military leaders that were sent out, the Primarchs, had a ton of control over the behavior of their armies and the worlds they subjugated. Some of them would treat the worlds they subjugated really, really well, and some of them really wouldn't. There were Primarchs that would attempt to use diplomacy to negotiate with long-lost human colonies, and then there were Primarchs that would send down engines of blood and fire to raise the planets into nothing until the survivors had no choice but to comply. So, with that respect, the action of delegating over...
Something he's leaving out, by the way, again, this is deliberately leaving out information. The Emperor would aim Primarchs at specific situations he thought their methods would suit best. That's something to keep in mind. He's if it's a world that is fiercely opposing the Great Crusade, he's going to send Angron after them. If it's people who are people who can say, if you just say topple the government and then restructure it, he'd send say Gilliman. Right?
Okay, a quick question.
Yeah.
What was the point of Conrad Kurtz? That's just excessive torture.
Fear.
That was like that was like how I made the Angron comparison. Like when you wanna, you know, when the target is very clearly a threat, you send like say Kurz or Mortarion or Angron or someone like that. You know, someone who's gonna be completely unsubtle about it. Where, you know, you would send like say Dorn or Gilliman or you know, someone else where it would be a situation where it would require more tact. Like the whole thing with 6319, like in Horus Rising. That was a world that Horus could handle because, you know, they didn't know the situation, but if the it looked like from the outset that they would be able to, you know, relatively easily, you know, convert this world to the Imperium, even if it came to fighting. And that really is what happened, because they basically took out the Emperor of 6319, and you know, and that was it. They basically won. That was all they had to do, right? Like, they just had to decapitate the leadership, and then they were able to take over relatively bloodlessly, other than you know the initial fighting. But then there were worlds, worlds I would say like literally just fucking space North Korea that would not give up for anything. That's where you like send in like say Angron to just be a battering ram. To knock it all down, and then worry about rebuilding later. So yeah, there's context. There continues to be context he leaves out.
Overwhelming political
also,
jurisprudence to military officials.
Like there's also leaving out the fact that some Primarchs are also just slower than others. Like Lorgar, right, was pretty fucking slow, if I'm recalling correctly.
Yeah, because he was converting every world he came across to the believing the Emperor was a god, which, you know,
Slow process.
Yeah, yes, it was a slow process. That was how the Emperor kind of found out, because he was like, man, Lorgar is taking a long ass time. So he decided to check up on him, and that was when he found out about the raising churches to the Emperor and building Monarchia and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what was going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some were not as fast as others.
That's pretty right leaning. It's also not something that happens today. You know why?
I want to point. By the way, I want to point out the how he says that the concept of military conquest is right leaning, like a right leaning concept. Like no, it's not. It's not. It's not a right leaning concept. It is a politically neutral concept that every political group in the history of mankind is utilized to expand their territory left and right. Like a good example, probably the most left-leaning president in our nation's history was FDR. They were floating how to divide up Germany, after the war, but between the Allied powers, like who would control what parts of Germany. And they literally only went back on this due to public backlash in the United States. Like, that's the only reason they went back on it. I forget the name of the plan exactly off the top of my head. But yeah, they were going to divide up Germany between like America and Britain. Like something like that. And it never went through, but they were planning it.
I mean, it's also not like the left doesn't basically hold in itself imperialistic ideals. They would deny it, but like every time something in another nation doesn't fit their personal politics, they want to encourage that nation either by force of law or by outside pressure to change. They don't believe in the idea of intrinsic cultures if those intrinsic cultures aren't some soft, benign, ivory tower longhouse version of itself.
Yeah, basically. So the idea that military conquest is a right-wing value is ridiculous.
Because right now in the modern world, anyone on Earth can call anyone else on Earth and have it be picked up within a fraction of a second. Nowadays, you don't have to delegate a bunch of authority to generals because the political leaders are always a phone call away. But when the armies are separated by tens of thousands of light years, well, To what extent is it legitimate to give deference to military leaders? I don't have a hard answer. It's a fictional story. I don't have any hardline answer.
I feel like he's only saying that to cover his own ass. Is that it?
Possibly.
Yeah, because it's like,
Yeah.
because he's saying, oh, it's a right-wing value, but, and then it's like, it feels like, because this is a very carefully constructed way of arguing, and it's why I say he's actually, smart but intoxicated with his politics, because he will say the thing like conquest is a right-wing value to poison the well of thought, and then he'll say, but it's a right-wing value, but they can't communicate with everyone, and I don't have an answer. It's like it's very disingenuous. Like it's very disingenuous. He is making the point that to paint the concept of military conquest as a right-wing evil, and then stating how, oh, but I don't have the answers. It's like, again, very disingenuous.
But it's an interesting question.
Oh.
There's some other stuff.
Go ahead, hun.
Sorry. I was going to say, it's how grifters and apologists tend to operate, which is that they'll basically put forward a lot of very reasonable arguments, but then, throw in, really, potentially extreme statements, more or less to, catch a person's mind when it's, accepting to anything they say. And be like, oh, well, okay, they said a whole bunch of other things that are pretty reasonable. That must be reasonable, too. So, in a way, he's kind of basically doing the same thing Andrew Tate does.
Yeah. It's also worth pointing out that this is the kind of thing you do to cover your ass, because he'll point out how oh, you're saying military conquest is right wing. They're like, well, I also said that it's a science fiction, it's a fictional setting, and therefore it's ass covering.
It's like how people would suggest something, and then after saying their suggestion, they just go "Oh, but I don't know though," or "That's just me."
Yeah, it's like, it's like, he's like, you make an extreme statement like we should kill every second-born child on the planet, and then follow it up with, but that's just my opinion. So, and then when somebody points out how barbaric,
that's just a theory. A game theory.
Yeah, but when someone argues how barbaric how barbaric that is, they themselves and also their little bootlickers can up and say, it was an opinion. Like, okay, but it was a stupid opinion. People like Vaush love to fall back on opinion when doing this kind of stuff. Like as a safe out.
Stuff there that's definitely very far right, very authoritarian. For example, the Emperor of Mankind was the undisputed master of Emperor of Mankind. There was not a democracy. Democracy was not a thing.
Actually, the High Lords of Terra are a democracy. They're an oligarchy, but they are ultimately a democracy. They do vote on things. The Emperor delegated most of the day-to-day power to the High Lords. So, yeah, there's that. But I also like the implication that the implication that right wing equals authoritarian.
I love the idea that the implication that you just mentioned it. They're an oligarchy by all technicalities, but they still vote democratically. But keep in mind, historical examples of democracy always limited the vote to a very specific niche of society. It was always men who are either serving in the military or have served, and generally landowners.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, the idea that, but again, he's doing it again because, right wing equals authoritarian. And then he's, again, leaving out critical information that there was a ruling, it's literally called the Senatorum Imperialis, where shit's voted on. It is an oligarchical voting system, but it is a voting system. It is by definition democratic.
The Emperor controlled everything. Planets were controlled by planetary governors who were appointed by the Council of Terra, which was basically just a group of human civilians who interpreted the will of the Emperor. And
they're not human civilians. They are generally people in positions of extreme power in charge of very powerful organizational bodies within the Imperium.
Gave it out. There was no democracy anywhere here. Nothing.
Oh, and he contradicts himself by immediately going back and saying, oh, yes, there was a council that voted on everything, but there was no democracy.
It was democratic. It was all authoritarian, directly authoritarian, with varying degrees of, administrative due process and checks and balances.
Didn't he just admit there were? Earlier he said there was no due process or checks and balances.
Yes.
I like to point out the Alfarius in chat, by the way, over there.
Hold on, Alfarius in chat.
Castrix, I am Alfarius. He's like towards the bottom there.
Okay, hold on.
There he is.
Wait,
Castrix, yeah, you missed him.
Oh, there's I am Alfarius. Yeah, I see him. But yeah, it's like, there's no. He starts straight. There's no due process, and it's purely authoritarian. But there's due process and checks and balances. Setting up the statement to poison the well, and then delivering the reasonable part that your brain misses, or that his audience's brains miss, because he said right-wing authoritarianism.
So, for example, early on in the Great Crusade, there were times when bad behavior on the part of military leaders was checked and criticized. And that's cool.
Remember, he said there was no due process.
But there were other times, most often times, when that didn't happen. And that's not cool. There were times when the emperor sent out journalists to accompany these militaries and encourage them to be truthful and honest in their interpretation of events, which is good. Free speech and free journalism and free press are worthwhile left-leaning values. But
shut the fuck up! Oh my god!
Yeah, no.
Left-leaning values.
Yeah,
left-leaning values.
Yeah, journalism as a concept basically rose among what we would call right-wing values, largely, with the invention of things like, I mean, when you really think about it, the monks in the Dark Ages recording things so they wouldn't be forgotten, And it's worth pointing out too. I don't know where he's going to go with this, but it was not the emperor. The emperor and the high lords did not get rid of the Remembrancers. The Remembrancers were wiped out, the purge of the Remembrancers was caused by Horus after he fell. So, yeah, I don't know if he's going to bring that up, but I thought I'd bring that up ahead of time.
I am wondering if he's gonna spin Horus as like a cool guy who was trying to stop the authoritarianism.
Yeah, that's gonna be funny if he does that, because Horus was convinced to fall by being told basically Horus got the okay. Well, first of all, for a little context for the non-40k nerds in here, were the Remembrancers are the journalists that he's talking about. The emperor made the Remembrancers go along with the Primarchs on their expedition fleets in the Crusade, even against the wishes of the Primarchs who didn't like them. They had no choice but to listen to what the Emperor said, on including people who would objectively record a history of what happened and report it back to Terra and to the people of the Imperium. So the Primarchs had no say in this. It was Horus who began killing off the Remembrancers after he turned traitor. And then they became casualties of the war. But that said, the Emperor was objectively all about recording this and making sure it was historically kept on track. But when it comes to him saying Horus is Horus, for more lore context, was convinced to betray the Emperor by chaos, showing him a self-fulfilling prophecy of what the Imperium would become if Horus betrayed the Emperor. He got the Anakin Skywalker treatment, where it's like, if you become a Sith, maybe you can save your wife, and then he becomes a Sith and she fucking dies, and Padme dies. It's the same situation. Horus was shown the future and told, only you can stop this by betraying the Emperor, and betraying the Emperor was exactly what caused it. So, yeah, again, lore context there. And for those who don't believe me, second Horus Heresy book. It's in the second Horus Heresy book. I can't think of the title off the top of my head because my brain is all over the place right now. But yeah,
I mean,
faced heavy censorship.
Search it up.
If you want to search it up while I got this running, because we'll be here all night if we keep ranting about lore.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Ship to make
Okay, but okay.
sure that morale maintained in these great massive galactic wars.
Oh,
The thing is, the Imperium of Man was never at its best left-leaning. At best, it was a benevolent monarchy. It was a benevolent totalitarian dictatorship.
I mean, okay, but again, the High Lords handle most of the power. The Emperor was really hands off with running the Imperium. In fact, the fact he delegated power to the High Lords again pissed off some of the Primarchs. What was it, Millie?
Bo. I was kind of right.
Oh,
I sent it to you. I screenshot this chatter in that stream there. I was kind of right.
all of 40K is pretty authoritarian. Hell, the closest he got to democratic people is the Tau's greater good. The Tau is literally a fascist dictatorship.
Oh my god, I called it, except it was from a chatter.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We've yet to get to that point.
Yeah, but he'll probably bring up the Tau at some point. But listen, I think it's a pretty safe bet he's gonna, ride the Tau's dongle a little bit, if you know what I mean. Anyway.
Yeah. Also, the second book was called False Gods, the Heresy Takes Root.
False Gods, thank you. Yeah, right. False Gods. If you feel free to read False Gods if you think I'm wrong. But right, so.
Also, didn't he not even want to rule in the first place?
The Emperor's entire plan involved giving up rule to making humanity equal in power to him, and then.
All right.
Yeah, it involved making humanity equal in power to him, and then he would give up rule. Like, he didn't want to rule forever. It's also it's like very clear why the Primarchs and the Space Marines can't. Why there's no another reason why there's no females, because he doesn't want them to replace humanity. He wants them to guard humanity. Like, that's why they exist. But anyway.
Emperor was supposed to be benevolent. The most consistent narratives about the Emperor of Man was that he was supposed to legitimately be above men. Gracious and humanitarian and loving, just in control of trillions of people. So, the math gets a bit tough at that scale. But with time, things got a lot worse. The long story short of it is that there was a betrayal. Some of the Primarchs rebelled. They killed the Emperor, set the galaxy aflame, and left what was remaining of the Imperium of Man essentially to wallow in thousands and thousands of years of wicked superstition, bureaucracy, and misery.
What a fucking reduction of what happened, by the way.
You'll notice he does not bring up chaos at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's made
Also-
mentions of it.
Also, more like half killed. Like, that's the other thing.
Yeah. The Emperor's not dead. He's like that. It's like the Golden Throne is being used as a life support system. He's not dead. He's absolutely not in good shape, but he's not dead. Like, that's the whole point. Okay.
What a guy.
Essentially, when the leadership of the Emperor was taken away, when he was killed, the narrative of the story kind of reaffirms the idea that humanity can't really live without a leader to aspire to, if that makes any sense. Or, to put it another way, humanity needed the Emperor to keep it on track. And in the absence of the Emperor, humanity fell back into superstition. It fell back into the Imperial Cult.
Again, this is massively reductive of how the Imperial Cult rose in the first place. The Imperial Cult existed during the Great Crusade. It was underground, sure, but it existed. The Imperial Cult gained popularity because belief in the Emperor tangibly hurt the forces of chaos. That's what
Yeah,
caused.
bringing mention of the anathema.
Yeah, like the fact the Emperor is literally made of full of that anti-demon juice, and it's like belief in the Emperor, like, was proved as a weapon against the demons that humans were now fighting. So that's why the faith took off. Like, that's why belief in the Emperor skyrocketed, and even eventually it was realized, look, the Emperor, look, we don't like this. We didn't want this, but this is our best weapon. Like that's why, like, you know, the faithful, like, say, like the first living saint, Euphrates Keeler, or Sigismund, who believed the Emperor was a god as well, were, you know, venerated in their time as for because their faith empowered them against chaos. And yeah, so yeah, it's like it's not just that humans started believing the Emperor is a god. People had very physical, tangible reasons to do so. There again, he's informing, but leaving out important context.
Whereas the imperial truth was all about promoting secularism, the imperial cult venerated the emperor, then known as the God Emperor, as the master of mankind and the spiritual divine leader of all of humanity. In the modern Warhammer 40k setting, they are so devoted to this imperial cult that you, your family, and the city that your family lives in can be purged from orbit if it's found out that there are people within your city who are explicitly not of the belief that the emperor...
Okay. We're gonna stop right there. We're gonna stop right
there. There it is.
Yeah, we're gonna stop right there because the
let him continue and then we speak.
Okay, yeah. I hate to give him the...
Emperor is a god. Entire planets and cities have been committed to fire just because they disagreed with the religious, the preacher, the religious deification of the time. The modern imperial...
Okay, yeah, no. And I hate the fact this has to keep getting brought up. Exterminatus is literally the last resort. Like
Don't they also have a committee in the Inquisition dedicated to determining if an inquisitor's use of Exterminatus was right?
Yeah, no, you get hauled before an Inquisition subcommittee if you commit Exterminatus, and they decide whether they choose whether you were justified or not. Like, you can't just use Exterminatus. It's and for the record, like, classic example, Inquisitor Critman was famously, like, he decided that the best way to halt High Fleet Leviathan was to Exterminatus a bunch of worlds that were perfectly fine worlds, so the Tyranids wouldn't be able to, like, refuel their biomass at them. And here's the thing, it kind of worked. It slowed High Fleet Leviathan down. He was declared excommunicate traitoris for doing so, and he was marked as a traitor to the Imperium and targeted for execution. He managed to get away, but all the same, like, his strategy kind of worked, and he was still, they were still going to kill him for it. And that's before we get into shit like demons, like, warping the reality of a planet and stuff like that. Like, but yeah, like, literally, Exterminatus is the last option, the last thing you do. And Vaush here's leading into this saying, oh, they'll just, like, oh, hey, what?
They'll just do it.
Yeah, like, oh, hey, look, a church that worshipped the Emperor wrong on a Thursday popped up, nuke the planet. Like, no.
Which is strange, considering, hasn't it been stated that there are as many ways to worship the Emperor and the Imperium as there are worlds?
Oh yeah, no, like people talk about the whole 40k lifting from Dune thing. There's like the Missionaria Protectiva from Dune. Basically, one of the things they copied in the excuse me, the Missionaria Galaxia or Galactica, something like that. It's the idea that, it's like how the Roman Catholic Church would, like, convince pagan faiths to worship God.
Christ?
Christ and the Lord by, essentially, recontextualizing their faith to be about, Christ and the Lord. And it's like, it's basically that. Like, they convert a lot of local faiths to that of the Emperor. And we see the Emperor worshipped as a harvest deity, a sun deity. Like, there's a denomination basically per planet. The only planets that really worship the Emperor in the most, the pure sense of the original term are like the Shrine Worlds or Terra itself. And even there's probably variation on Terra itself. So yeah, it's like the idea that there's no variety of thought and culture in the Imperium is patently ridiculous and provably wrong.
And also, as was stated, they try to convert people to worshiping the Emperor.
Yeah.
So I don't think a hive city would get bombarded for simply having some people who don't worship the Emperor.
I mean, even within the Imperium of Man, there are like good example. Caiaphas Cain is not a faithful man. In fact, he thinks people who are he uses the term emperor botherer in the books to describe people who are like it's like the Imperium equivalent of the term Bible thumper. So it's like there's degrees, like what was it, Kara Swall from the Dan Abnett's Inquisition books, Ravenor and Eisenhorn and them. Was not a faithful woman. In fact, she pretty much didn't believe at all. She didn't become faithful until she found out she had an inoperable brain tumor and was going to die. So it's like there's absolutely degrees in there. It's ridiculous to imply there aren't. And the thing is, it's like you can argue actually all you want, but here's the problem. We have the books on our side in this argument. We're just quoting the books. The lore is written. So, yeah.
Imperium of Man is incredibly far right in almost every imaginable way. The term is ecclesiarchy. Well, that disagreed with the ecclesiarchy.
Okay. The Imperium is far right in every way imaginable. The Imperium does not... let's throw this out here. The Imperium does not give a shit if you're gay or... we're gonna go with all the stereotypes of far right here in terms of what they would be opposed to. Okay, they do not care about your skin color. They do not care about if you're gay or bi or lesbian or transgender. There have been transgender characters brought up in 40K novels. Like, yeah, it's I remember it was fucking John De La Raza's fucking hack ass website. Fandom Pulse was getting all triggered about a trans 40K character in the Imperium of Man. The Imperium of Man literally does not give a shit. They literally do not give a fuck. The Imperium of Man, it's so hilarious because they are post prejudice. They are post interhuman prejudice, like outside of the arguments of like say being a psyker or being a mutant. Or like not worshiping the Emperor. You know what I mean? Like racism, sexism, the various, LGBT phobias, what have you. They don't do that anymore.
I remember in the first Caiaphas Cain novel, a side comment from by Amberley in like the early parts makes reference to how like the ship's captain, who's rather put out by he's rather pissed because a fight amongst the regiment on that ship basically spelled the end of several actual provosts' lives, and one of them is implicitly had been somebody in a relationship with the captain. Both all the provosts in the room are referenced as being male, which Amberley only says is a problem because it's a competing it's a what's the term? It's
leveraging the guy's scorn toward the Imperial Guardsman who caused the incident, basically.
Yeah, but also because it's against the usual company regs of a ship, but but that's beyond that.
Yeah, but that's military regulation. You're not supposed to be fucking your bunk buddy. That's that has nothing to do with being gay or straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's or specifically the fact that by book two of the Caiaphas Cain novels, there are two women in his regiment who are in a lesbian relationship. Oh fuck, what's another good one another one I can think of off the top of my head? Or like when Patience kiss, and who's the really foppish interrogator? He wasn't interrogator from Ravenor. He wasn't gay. He was just foppish. There's
Things you know.
Yeah. They're like scoping a dude out, and they're like, thinking of how they can get to him, and they bring up like, they question whether it's like, is
Thonius?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, Carl Thonius, that's his name. They're scoping this dude out, like how they could get to him, and they question like is he into women? Is he into guys? It's like that. It's not a problem in the Imperium. It's the Imperium. If we're gonna say the Imperium is far right in terms of its far right concepts, if we're using the stereotype, then it would be the xenophobia toward aliens. It would be the adherence to religion. But again,
even that has fucking historical justification, given that humanity once upon a time did try to play ball with the greater galaxy, and the moment their back was turned, every single alien species in existence, short of some gorillas that make digital weapons, stabbed humanity in the back.
Well, the Jacaro don't just want to be left, they literally want to be left alone. That's really it. The Imperium will leave aliens alone if they're not threatening the Imperium. There was in the War of the Beast, the Chromes, who are the Imperium are fighting a war of extermination with in the first book, were basically left alone because they were never a problem. But by the time of the start of the first book, they became a problem because they started attacking Imperium worlds. It's only toward the end of the book, they realized they started attacking Imperium worlds because they were running from the orcs, and the Imperium didn't know that. But the Chromes, who were not a sapient species, started landing on Imperium worlds and became a threat, and that's when they went after them. So they'll leave aliens alone if those aliens are those aliens will leave them alone. The only time it really happens is if the Imperium is looking to colonize a world, like what almost happened with, Tau, the homeworld of the Tau Empire, before it got shut off by warp storms. But anyway, continuing.
Almost every imaginable way, the modern 40K is incredibly far right. Overwhelmingly so. Hold on, wait, one person's spamming. Jeez, they were really spamming. My God. Thought a bunch of people were spamming Spirit Science, but it turns out it was just one person. Anyway, there's a reason why I'm getting to all this. Basically, the modern universe of 40K is really complicated to talk about politically because there isn't only the Imperium of Man, there's the million planets they control. The universe in 40K operates as a kind of space feudalism where planets are allowed to operate.
I'm going to just stop real quick and say I'm amazed he didn't mention fascism first. But I know he will. But, yeah.
Semi-autonomously, as long as they pay their taxes to the Imperium of Man, and they commit military forces to them. And that's about it, So, some planets are well-run, and have democracies within their own governments. And then there are other planets.
Vaush, I thought it was right-wing authoritarian.
Planets that are brutal beyond the wildest imagining of human beings. There are planets where you could be born and live a life that's not that different from our own in terms of quality of life. And there are worlds where fetuses are harvested from birth mothers so they can be trained in the use of firearms at the age of 5 and then sent off to die in war at 15 while wearing the gear that's been passed down through 17 generations of guard before them.
Again, he's basically describing Cadia. Yeah, no, their fucking neighbors were chaos. So, again, leaving out context, literally leaving out extremely important context to flavor his argument in a way that suits his politics.
Wasn't Cadia within pretty much galactic spitting distance of the Eye of Terror, so much so that it stained all Cadians to have warp purple eyes?
Yeah, if you look at the old maps of the Eye of Terror, there's like this opening in the eye. It is literally straddling the Cadia system. Like, it's Cadia, on the left you got the Eye of Terror, on the right you got the Eye of Terror, and behind you got the rest of the galaxy. That's why Cadia was so important. And yeah, Cadia getting attacked by Chaos was just Tuesday. It was just Tuesday over there. And yeah, they did have that kind of like, the proximity to the eye did give them, to the Eye of Terror for untold tens of thousands of years, gave them a level of resistance and also purple eyes. But again, things like that are like anomalous, like newer generations of Cadians after they lost Cadia, don't have that. Like you see that in Space Marine 2, where the younger Cadians are like going mad from the presence of chaos in the final levels, but then the ones with the purple eyes, who are like directly descended from the original Cadians, are fine. So yeah,
it really depends where you're born. Yeah, Krieg. It really, really, really depends. Some planets are livable, but most of them have been choked black and yellow with the smog.
Some planets are livable, but most. No, okay, yeah, no, we're going to go into this context, a more important context. Then this is something that the creator of 40K, Rick Priestley, has said himself, is that the stories in 40K focus on the worlds that are like, the hellholes and the war zones, because those are the ones that fit the theme of 40K. Nobody goes and gets into 40K to hear about a family that lives a normal fucking life on a normal fucking world where nothing fucking happens. Like, they make the stories about the war zones, about the harsh places, because that's where the interesting stories happen.
Yeah, we're not really going to be visiting agri worlds on the regular.
Yeah, like agri worlds, or just nice, peaceful, idyllic planets where nothing goes wrong. In fact, the only time they visit planets like that, like say Gudrun in the Eisenhorn and Ravenor novels, is because something goes wrong there. So yeah,
there are planets where acid rain is a global and constant occurrence, meaning that roofs have to constantly be reinforced as every square inch of the city exposed is constantly eaten away at by an ongoing just rain pounding away at everything. People whose flesh burns away when they walk outside. There are death worlds where
that acid rain thing. Now this is what I mean. I keep saying he reads up just enough to know what he's talking about to argue how he's right, and he is literally bringing up one of the planets from the Ravenor books right there. And
yeah, go ahead.
And it's heavily implied, by the way, that the world was like that when the people got there, and that's why the hives built up, because that's the only place people could live, because it was a horrible toxic planet.
Like, let me put it to you this way: I could say there is a planet where the overgrowth of plant life is so great that humanity is constantly at risk from it, which is in one of the fucking Eisenhorn novels. And it's true. The hive world or hive city that exists there literally has to have machines go through that grind away the encroaching plant life daily, if not hourly, and it drips a rain of sap upon the people below. But this isn't like the doing of humanity. It's just that Warhammer likes its kind of hostile worlds, many of which were hostile before people got there.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, it's kind of believable, I think. We have no idea when we find life-bearing worlds, we have no idea what we're going to find on those worlds. So the idea that there would be worlds like this, most life-bearing worlds would be like this, is believable. It's actually a nice little touch of realism in the setting.
The Valhallans live on a literal ice world. It's icy not due to their involvement, but they've adapted to it. To the point that, it's a meme in the fucking Chaos Kane books that he's constantly like, shit, I finally get to have a actual hot shower and not be constantly freezing because the Valhallans prefer to live in a goddamn AC unit with ice baths.
Right?
Humans shouldn't live there, but still do for some reason. There's a lot.
Humans shouldn't live there, but still do for some reason. You know, that reminds me of? That reminds me of the person who was like, it reminds me of people. Okay, so some European posted how American homes are so flimsy because one got's roof torn off by a tornado, and you know, people point out how fucking powerful tornadoes get, like to the point of deleting towns off the map. And then the one European guy said in response, "Well, maybe they just shouldn't live there." Like, fuck you. Seriously, like Vaush, I don't know how to put this, but it's hard enough for a town of thousands of people to pick up, a few thousand people to pick up root and move. You know, like a small town. Now try to do a planet of potentially billions. Like that is such a disingenuous fucking argument. You know, oh, they still live there for some reason.
A lot of variety. When you have a million worlds under the control of the Imperium of Man, there's always going to be variety. Now, the reason why I'm...
by the way, once again, he's saying there's variety. There's not... He said there's not a lot of variety. Most are horrible. Some are good. But remember, there's lots of variety. Again, doing that poison the well argument.
Getting through all of this is because, in addition to it being, like, exceedingly far right, it's also miserable for almost all of the things that make it far right. With one caveat, with one exception. The point of Warhammer 40k is that it's miserable. It's literally like the Grimdark. They codify.
And again, you were just saying there's people who live normal lives. Vaush, remember that.
Grimdark, practically. Everyone who, if you write a book about 40k or read a book about 40k, anything, just anything about the media makes it...
by the way, I just want to point out the subtitles there real quick. If you read a book about Freddie Gary...
Just anything about the media makes it exceedingly clear that it was a horrible place to live in. The opening scrawl of 40k makes that clear.
So I guess we're just going to settle it. He's going back on his entire previous argument.
But it's just like, Christ, listen to this. This was the beginning of every book that was written in its time. To be a man in such times is to be one amongst untold billions.
I'm going to stop him in the middle of this real quick just to point out, he's like, there is no hope. The entire point of 40k is that there's still something to fight for. Like, this is something I remember from fucking Overly Sarcastic Productions' utterly awful video about Grimdark. How people like Vaush and Red, and I'm guessing Blue too on that channel, don't understand how Grimdark works. That the whole point of Grimdark is that there's hope you cling on to, and the light produced by the heroism of the protagonists. Like, they don't get Grimdark as a concept.
It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. This is the tale of these times. It is a universe you can live today if you dare, for this is a dark and terrible era where you will find little comfort or hope. If you want to take part in the adventure, then prepare yourself now. I think this is from the 80s. They don't say that in the most recent ones. Forget the power of technology, science, and common humanity. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for there is no peace amongst the stars. Only an eternity of carnage and slaughter and the laughter of thirsting gods. That's it. There is only war. So why am I going into all this? Well, the point that I'm laboriously trying to get to is that the universe of 40k fucking sucks. So why are there a ton of far-right people who like to deify elements of the Imperium of Man and use it in the political propaganda that they create?
Because it's fiction.
Why were there so many God Emperor
cool.
of the United States memes?
Like,
why, when you go into a lot of 40k,
wait, let him cook. Let him cook.
Communities, do you see people who talk about the Imperium of Man and use the language of the Imperium of Man as though it was like a cool and good place to live in? You guys have noticed that, right? I mean, for God's sake, look at this. I saw this all the time back in 2016. They photoshopped Donald Trump's head onto the God Emperor of Mankind.
Call the meme, you dickbat.
Okay, hold on. Let me just Let me just real quick. Okay, let's I'm just gonna find a funny little picture here. A funny little picture that no. Is that on the screen? No, it's not. Okay, hold on. I gotta minimize this first. Yeah, funny little picture. Who's that look like? What's that look like, Vaush? What is it? Say his name. Vaush. Say his name. What is that?
Look, like for me personally, I don't even personally like the Donald Trump God Emperor thing myself. I just think Warhammer's cool, dog. It doesn't get any deeper than that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like, as somebody who was like there when the God Emperor Trump meme was made, like it was a joke. It was a meme. It's not deep. That's the thing. Like, I remember where that came from. It came from R the Donald on Reddit, you know? Like, I remember that. There was no... The whole God Emperor Trump thing, there was no kind of, like, aspirations to make Trump a permanent dictator of the United States or nothing like that. It was just a fucking meme to get people hyped for voting for him. That's all it was.
Pretty fucking much.
Yeah, it's like... Okay, so Vaush trying to say the right doesn't understand 40K. Vaush doesn't understand the right.
I mean, Vaush doesn't understand people in general. That's kind of the biggest problem the left has with, like, the whole, I went to college and got a liberal arts degree, and therefore everything, like, you know, you will ever engage in is political, and let me tell you how I'm going to extrapolate even, like, the most tiny, important minutia into how it's political. And thus, they literally are so intoxicated by that idea that they cannot understand that sometimes people do things for the meme because it's cool, because it's neat. It's the same reason why, like, people watch fucking, like, war movies and meme on the idea of, like, a man's, like, dream is twofold: to die fighting an awesome battle while Freebird plays, or to have his head held in a woman's lap.
Yeah,
listen, some people just do things for the meme. Case in point, that one time I tweeted at Obama a video of me hanging out with two objects that I would not be naming by name.
Bad dragon dildos?
Okay, Ash just went there, but yeah.
And just like that video's not getting monetized.
Oh, it'll be.
Bo can edit it.
Yeah, I can edit it. I will probably be doing that all day tomorrow. But
just put a censor on it.
Yeah,
you can just feel like add like a fucking beep or a honk noise for me, like I'll feel like Bad Dragon honk.
Yeah, exactly. But no, but seriously though, that's what it is. It's like, it's Millie. It's like you've probably seen this meme. It's the Gundam shooting the beam rifle and says war is bad, and there's the dude looking at it like, hey, wow, cool robot.
Yeah. Those are great. Also, beware them space cougars on God.
Society. But seriously though, but it's like, okay, Tamino was saying when he made Gundam, war is bad. You know what that doesn't change? The fact that giant fucking robots, fighting wars with each other is really fucking cool. Like, and you'll note, Vaush said this earlier, 40K is cool. That's why people like it. But, and this is like the people trying to say liking Xeon makes you a fascist or something. It's the same argument. It's like, it's applying a presumption of guilt based on the enjoyment of a fictional property. Or
I am forever fighting that battle, the whole Xeon thing. It's always a fucking battle that's just tiring.
Yeah. I remember when G-Cucks came out, this isn't spoilers for G-Cucks, so I can just say this. How, because the first episode involves a rather oppressive military police of a colony, and people immediately blamed Xeon, and then, I pointed this out to people. They didn't listen, but I wasn't expecting them to listen. How, Side 6 is independent of Xeon and the Federation, so No, they were just like that on their own. They didn't need Xeon or the Federation to be, oppressive dickbags to their people. But, but people like Vaush are never going to let context get in the way of a good argument against people they don't like.
Made more hilarious by the simple fact that when you go the whole, oh, everything's political, I interpret everything as political, here's my interpretation. Context fucking matters, but apparently it's the first thing to go out the goddamn window.
Anyways, Sig Xeon Brothers.
But yes, exactly, Sig Xeon. But
if Xeon's so cool, then why GM Hero Gundam shaped?
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, Ash. but yeah, it's like, all right, but yeah, it's like, but yeah, more to the point, they did the God Emperor Trump thing, Vaush, because it looked cool and it was funny and people had a laugh about it and then that one idiotic Italian guy made a fucking float about it to criticize Trump and then did the whole, oh yeah, it's supposed to make fun of me, but you made me look cool, so I guess that's a you problem. Anyway.
I mean, it's nice, funny memes or whatever. It's like nice LARPing, but like in
you
the
just
story,
admitted what the point was.
Yeah. Again. I'm saying smart enough to know what he's talking about, politically intoxicated enough to use motivated reasoning to warp it into a point that will make his opponents look evil.
This guy failed, right?
No, he hasn't failed, actually, Vaush. That's kind of the whole point, especially with the newer lore, is that the fight isn't over and the Emperor can still win. Like, okay, let's see where it goes with it.
This guy died. The guy they photoshopped Donald Trump's head onto here failed to control his empire, died in a rebellion, and has to sit in a corpse throne while over thousands of years the Imperium of Man that he built rots.
Why was there a rebellion? Who was he fighting?
Yeah, it's almost like this guy named Horus Heresy did some stuff.
Yeah, almost like Horus had a heresy with a bunch of
it's God.
With a bunch of eldritch malevolent entities from beyond the veil of reality or some shit,
It's almost like a dude who like looks like a skinhead, fucking on a lark, caused the heresy by doing a little funny with like a special magic knife and mind control.
Yeah, it's like it is very much like Vaush to make a video about conservatives missing the point of Warhammer as he misses the point of Warhammer.
So why is he being deified?
Note the feign of confusion.
You're trying to say channers know what actually happens in stories? I do think so, because many times, you see this type of behavior in communities that are fans of 40K.
Real.
The first thing you learn about 40K is like the Horus Heresy, which is what tells you what happened here with the Emperor.
No,
they
the first
know
thing I learned about
the history.
40K
They
was
know
Space
that they're
Marines.
deifying Trump by associating him with an icon where in media that icon was a failure who rots now on a throne while everything he built dies.
I will bring it up every time he fails to. How did he die? Who was he fighting? Why were they fighting? Why was there a rebellion, as you put it?
My suggestion is that they don't actually care. That the aesthetics of authoritarianism and militarism are so important to the far right that they don't actually care that they're borrowing symbology from media that explicitly disagrees with their conclusions.
It looks cool, you fuckwit.
The setting where literally having faith helps protect thousands of no, not even thousands, trillions of innocent human lives.
Yeah, again, he continues through the whole thing to leave out it's like, this is okay, I've seen a lot of incredibly reductive arguments about 40K from people like Vaush, right? This is the most reductive one I've ever seen. Like, there are whole avenues of why things are the way they are in Warhammer and why people would, like, say, get fist pumping over the Imperium's fight for survival. There's so much there. that he refuses to comment on because they are inconvenient truths. Because if he brings up the fact it's about demons, that it's about demons and hostile aliens who shot first, then his point falls apart. He can't make his argument that the far right are stupid, evil, militaristic jingoists because if he brings up the context of why humanity is fighting for survival, he can't do that anymore. Now, there's always the chance he will later in the video, but okay, let's keep going.
Games Workshop, as shitty of a company as it is, put out a statement affirming
Oh boy, here we go.
their support of Black Lives Matter and saying people who disagree with Black Lives Matter essentially can just fucking leave the hobby for all they care.
Yeah, okay, I genuinely love how people from Vaush, they will shit on capitalism, but then, diddle the dongle of a major corporation if it makes a throwaway statement in support of a people just to keep their fucking storefronts from getting burned down.
It's also okay for me personally, and keep in mind, I'm reiterating, I'm a lefty person. When I see a corporation just say, "I support this movement," and it's like the pride thing when they start putting their fucking logos with the pride flag and stuff. It just I don't buy it. You're just saying it, bro.
Yeah, it's like, why do you? It's like that is entirely the reason I find Pride Month cringe. Despite being gay myself, it's because it's performative. That's all it is.
It's very I like Pride Month in some parts, but most of the time I'm just annoyed and I just want to stick to myself.
Yeah, it's like, okay, why do y'all think when Pride Month happened, I made a pride flag version of the Inquisition logo, and then right below it was the guy from Mad Men, and it's like, and I had the text over it: "They'll cheer for the Exterminatus if you paint a rainbow flag on the virus bomb." I was parodying that fucking, I was making fun of that performative nature of it all. That's what it's like. It genuinely wows me how they have no principles. Staunch anti-capitalists until the megacorp says, until the megacorp puts a rainbow on the fucking drone that's gonna drop bombs on little kids.
It's so dumb.
That caused a lot of people to get angry. They also actually demanded that the formerly known as Arch Warhammer YouTuber, now known as Arch, disassociate with their brand because the dude was a neo-Nazi.
There it is.
Sorry.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. Yeah. Fun fact: Arch Warhammer's a lefty. Or I think his politics have shifted to be more right wing. But back when that happened, he was more of a moderate European lefty at the time. That's the funny part.
Hold on. I need to point this out. This is for Ash. There's a user in chat over there who Latinexus. I want you to just read that one and just keep that one in mind for me in the future.
Latinexus. Nah, Vaush. Big E is a bad daddy, but he's still important for keeping space travel running. What?
Oh, that sounds like the Emperor's a garbage dad thing. That's a whole fucking rant I could go into for a whole
Well, he's
video.
bad in the based fashion. He's so bad. He got it going.
Just listen, dog.
Ash.
Lord Bearer rep the set, bruh.
But okay, but yeah, no. But again, Arch's whole thing was set up by Sig Marxism. It's like most of the screen caps were fake. There's pictures out there of the fucking Sig Marxism mods on Discord planning it, and then the thing with the whole thing with they forced Arch to drop to disassociate from the brand. Yeah, fun fact about that. From what I understand, that was entirely suggested by author Gav Thorpe, and it almost lost 40K. It almost lost Games Workshop the Warhammer brand. So basically, they said Arch could not use Warhammer in his name because Warhammer was copyrighted by Games Workshop. The problem is they can't copyright the word Warhammer, right? And
Go ahead.
yeah, so Arch's lawyered up. Then his lawyer presented him with the following facts. If Games Workshop pursued this, they would lose. They would either have two options: copyright the word Warhammer, and then proceed to have to get into an endless legal battle over the use of the term as a copyrighted word, sinking the company, or they would have to drop the word Warhammer from the brand entirely. Those would be their options. Either death by legal fee bleed out, or drop the brand altogether. It could have also potentially completely screwed over the entire 40k YouTuber community, who Arch still liked, despite the fact that a lot of them backstabbed him. So he chose instead to take Warhammer out of his name just to end it there. He could have destroyed the company though if he wanted to. So, yeah.
I just want to also point out, just reading the chat, it's really obvious on the people who follow Vaush, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm pointing out NCR Llama, fuck you, Caesar's Legion, and I actually like the Enclave. Fuck you.
Yeah, I see a Marsquake up toward the top. 1,000 psychers a day to keep the Corpse Emperor alive. Like, and it's funny because Latinexus is actually trying to. I'm so sorry I'm saying that, Millie. I know you hate that.
I hate that word so much.
Yeah, like you know, pointing.
Ow.
You all right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, pointing out how, you know, they need the Emperor for space travel. There's like they're trying to keep in. It's like there are people trying to, you know, provide the context in chat, but Vaush just won't listen. But anyway.
Or at least like a fash. I forget the details.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. He's like, oh, he's a neo-Nazi, I guess. Maybe. I don't really remember.
You can't just make that fucking claim on somebody.
Yeah, right?
So, Games Workshop isn't super far right. And what's more, the super far right empire in the media they produced sucks. And a lot of why it sucks is because it's far right.
Again, leaving out the context, leaving out the Xenos, the AI going crazy, fucking chaos.
The worst parts of living in the Imperium are the religious fanaticism, are the authoritarianism, are the hypermilitarism. But these are all of the things that the people in the far right tend to deify. That's weird.
No, we find it cool. We don't deify it. I don't know if you know this, Vaush, but most people on the American right tend to be religious. There is something we deify. His name's Jesus. His dad's God.
This dude should fucking know that, considering he's an internet skeptic.
Yeah, and the fact, you know, and I'm coming at this, you know, from the position of a Roman Catholic. I do not worship anything but you know, God and the Son of God. You know.
Can I also say, as a staunch, amazing atheist as I am, I still think religious aesthetics are very fucking cool, and I fuck with that shit heavy. So it's not even that deep too. I
real.
Fuck with that shit.
Like,
Real.
I mean, Ash is also an atheist. And he loves that stuff. Like, it's you don't like it. It's incredible the inability to see, like, I like, you know, people. It's like, you know, you think people are joking when they say these kind of people like Vaush hate fun, but there really is just a huge element of it. Like, they can't see people having fun without trying to, like, you know, be all like, but what does it mean? You know, what does it mean?
Moralize it, rationalize it.
Yeah, like, you don't need to rationalize fun. Like as much as, like, you know, yeah, fun is a buzzword. Like, I've played some of the worst video games imaginable, but had fun. I will never say they're good games, but I had fun. Like, Millie, when we were streaming Space Hulk Deathwing, we were having fun, even if
we were having fun. It was just bad.
Yeah, it's like the game is not good, but we were having fun. You know.
But if you're watching this vid, keep in mind, there's gonna be a VOD eventually that you can look up of us playing Dustborn. I'm going to scream.
Yeah, no, seriously. Ash is gonna play that. Millie and I are gonna provide emotional support, and drink heavily. All right, continuing.
That'll be
My
fun.
argument is that for them, the aesthetics take prominence over anything else. That even though the actual content of the media they like, and many of them, I imagine, they do like 40K, even though the
Yeah, no shit.
actual content of the media they enjoy explicitly criticizes and mocks their politics, they adopt it
Because
anyway.
it looks cool, you dumbass.
It looks fucking cool. I love Space Marines. I love the ecclesiarchy.
Hey, remember he was saying the remember earlier in the video when he was like the politics of a society that far in the future are so far removed that we can't apply modern left and right concepts to it, and now he's just like, oh, by the way, it mocks their politics. Those are mutually exclusive statements, Vaush.
It's fucking dumb. Things just look cool. I like word bearers because they're fucking hyper-religious zealot maniacs on Chaos. I love them.
Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. Even if you factor in like the whole it criticizes them, it's satire. It's like, okay, but then why is it that like 99.999% of the novels take a very like humanized perspective on the Empire and show off like how even despite the bitterness, despite the grimness of their world, even say like the most expendable of the Empire's forces, the guardsmen, basically are like, I don't care. I will do what I will do what I must because I believe in it, and they will live out their lives dealing with how difficult it may be because it has meaning to them.
It's almost like they have ideals. They
Yeah.
should talk to a man called Annabelle Gatto.
Right?
It's like
Because
if I'm really being mocked here, sure, okay, whatever. I'm sure the author might have some point to say, but he certainly didn't do a very good job of making all the people like the bits and pieces that make the Empire move look ridiculous. Sure, the Munitorum, but they're pencil pushers and politicians are the low-hanging fruit of basically, man, if only we could do away with them.
Yeah, I've come to call it the authorial malapropism, where the author, like, okay, context. The creators of 40K have straight up said 40K is not satire. It is not. They've said Rick Priestley said it's not satire. On the idea that Gaskell Magaruk Thraka was, satirizing Margaret Thatcher. The creator of the character, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he straight up came out and said, no, we didn't want to bring up Margaret Thatcher in our work because we wanted to forget about her. We would just wanted to enjoy ourselves in our creations and our fictions and our fun, and most recently in the Ultimate Guide to 40K, in the opening of it, they said straight up, we had like gallows humor and maybe some like minorly referential jokes, like say minorly referential satire, not like the political kind, but in like the basing orcs off football hooligans kind of satire, you know what I mean? But it's like, but it's not like political satire. And this straight up says the setting has evolved beyond that now. Like it says that verbatim.
I wonder how he felt about like what was it, Avalon, who said recently and basically caused 9/11 for like the Fallout community, when he was like, it's literally about how like war is bad and has nothing to do with capitalism.
Yeah.
I want to point out chat once again.
Mm-hmm.
There's a individual who wrote fascism is about aesthetics, and honestly, I kind of want to fucking gouge my eyes out after reading that one.
Hey, you know what? Oh, I see him. Yeah, I see him down there. Okay, here's the funny thing about that. Listen, the Nazis were probably one of the most evil things to ever come out of the human race. They actually believed it. They believed in their ideals. Like that is just objective truth. Like. And that's why it's scary, because they weren't just putting it on, they actually believed in it. That's really the scary part. They believed in what they were doing. They thought it was good and just. It if you would like a Nazi from World War II saying what they were doing was a moral good would not be lying to you from their perspective. Now, I think it's always funny because these types like Vaush believe in moral relativism up until it's the point it's something like, because by Vaush's own, own system of moral relativism, he should be okay with the Nazis because, you can't judge them, right? It's their culture. Now, I'm not like that. I will judge the shit out of someone's culture. I don't give a fuck. So, yeah, no, the Nazis were pure evil. But you could not convince them of that because they genuinely believed they weren't. And that's what's scary about them. So, no, saying fascism is all about aesthetics is like bullshit. They actually, when fascism existed during World War II, they believed in that. They believed in it, like, legitimately.
I mean, that's kind of the irony of, like, the left in modern America is, like, it's not hard to see leftists make token affirmations of the idea that really just about anybody can rationalize and justify to themselves something that is ultimately, at the end of the day, an awful thing. Anybody can do that. And that Hitler himself wasn't some literal devil in human flesh. He wasn't like some walking anathema to all humanity. He was a person that any like flesh and blood human being could become given the right circumstances. Leftists will pay heed to this and then throw it out and basically factor anybody who isn't within their camp into, well, a camp, figuratively speaking. And they'll even act like, hey, if I slap the right branding on it, the optics will prove the truth of it. Like, Antifa, as a concept, is quite literally like, oh, we're anti-fascist. We're gonna go around in, like, masks and attack people and, like, basically throw rocks at people and act in basically the same way we accuse Nazis of behaving.
The more the word fascist and neo-Nazi get used, the less meaning it just holds for me, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a nothing. It's just a nothing term now. It doesn't mean anything. It means what it is, a nebulous concept now. A nebulous accusation with no meaning.
Because they think it's cool. It's
and
the same
what's
reason
wrong with that?
Why we just saw Adam Calhoun, who has a United States flag Punisher emblem on his back wall, in spite of the fact that the Punisher is an amoral cop killer, anti-hero, who I guarantee you does not give a single shit about.
Yeah, no, okay. This is the classic thing people get wrong about the Punisher. The Punisher does not hate cops. He hates corrupt cops. He will actively work with cops who are not corrupt.
Oh, and leftists hate him more than anything else.
I mean, yeah. Vaush was probably one of the people celebrating when the Punisher finally got canceled as a comic. But naturally he'll bring up the Punisher when it suits him, and of course in a disingenuous way that completely ignores the Punisher's character.
Patriotism.
What the fuck statement is that?
It's the same reason why a lot of far-right people like Fallout.
What?
Up there, Pope J. Francis, is the Imperium anti-vax, though?
The Imperium literally, like... No, it's... Okay, it's funnily enough, or at least on one... When it comes to how one Hive World does it, when Dan Abnett wrote, it was the second Ravenor book, Ravenor Returned. The whole thing was basically the whole thing is this huge scene that could be interpreted as a criticism of socialized healthcare. Like, I'm not making this up. Like in the scene, the guy, he's a former doctor. He had his license to practice revoked, and he is talking about how he had his license to practice revoked because the government assigns only so much money and resources to each sector, like under the system's socialized Medicare system, and there was never enough to go around. So he started fudging the paperwork to get more funds to help people, and then they found out, and he lost his medical license as a result. So, like, this is the thing. Like, I genuinely don't think Dan Abnett was trying to say something with that. But, if you're being you know, if you're going like full interpretation mode, you can interpret it that way. So Vaush trying to say it's like critical, because once again, he is purely interpreting here. 40K is objectively not satire by the words of its own creator, Rick Priestley. But he's going full, but my opinion, my interpretation. You know, here's the thing, Vaush, that cuts both ways. Like, that cuts both ways, and I won't go into it just yet fully. We're going to let him, you know, go on more.
Fallout, even though Fallout, very explicitly in the first two games, and perhaps less so, but still in the Bethesda sequels, is very anti-war and anti-patriotism. If you play the Fallout games, they're like beating you over the head with the imagery here. Hey, dumb, unintrospective patriotism means the end of humanity.
Okay, except for the part where, you know, China caused the war. You know.
I think this man just needs to shut up a little bit.
Yeah, I fully admit I'm losing my desire to listen to his stupid vocal fry voice anymore.
Dogmatism and
We're not even halfway through the video.
Destroy people, like, but people they
Vaush, you are a dogmatic fanatic.
They LARP over that, you know? They're like, oh yeah, dude, Fallout, nah, better red than dead, like, you know.
I mean, I feel like for Vaush that line would cut a little deep. I'm just saying, you know.
Wait,
why
did he
Liberty
say
Prime
better?
is based. Fuck you.
Wait, did he just say better red than dead?
Yeah, he's saying like how
It's
that's
supposed to be better dead than red.
Oh my god, even the subtitles right there. He got the line wrong. He got the line. Holy shit, he got the line wrong. Oh my fucking god.
People so often on the right do this. Well, part of it is because they have really, really, really bad media comprehension.
Oh, is he gonna say?
That's gold coming from you, buddy.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's rich coming from a guy who has not once in this entire conversation brought up Xenos, unprovoked Xenos hostility, AI wars, and chaos in a discussion about 40K lore.
Seriously, conservatives, in my experience, are not great at understanding the messages that media are trying to like deliver to you, even when it's really obvious. Like, really, really obvious.
Is it too early for me to bring up how the whole media literacy thing is such a nonsense argument? Like,
not at all.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the whole media literacy thing strictly exists because it's like they'll preach death of the author in one hand, the authorial intent doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is purely the interpretation of the reader. And then they'll say, so here's how we interpret this as something that's making fun of you as a, air quotes, right-wing chud. And by the way, you can't interpret it otherwise. That is the only thing it's about, and you're not allowed to disagree. Like, the whole concept of media literacy just destroys itself based on the foundation, the entire foundations of it, as, you know, the foundations of, you know, liberal or left-wing theory on media as, you know, purely interpretive.
But even if they do understand the messaging, I think they just like look past it, you know? Like, can I show you something?
Vaush, you haven't talked at all about like anything 40K related except the specific parts you're cherry picking. You cannot make an argument for they don't get it when you yourself either your choices are you are refusing to get it or you are deliberately not getting it to be disingenuous. So yeah, you can't make this argument against the right when you're doing it yourself.
Like, this is a painting. Now, I think this painting is cool, okay? Without getting too deep into the specifics, it's a painting of a bunch of like armored super soldiers standing in a big
He doesn't even know what to call them.
Ultramarines, you fuckwit.
Yeah, Ultramarines and one solitary Grey Knight. Like, yeah. Like, okay.
cathedral ship. Okay.
Actually, it's not a cathedral ship. That's on Ultramar. That was during the Rise of the Primarch. In fact, I think that art debuted in that book.
It's cool, right? It's shiny.
I mean,
it is shiny.
Element is right there.
Yeah.
But what does it represent? Well,
Okay, I'm going to answer this before Vaush can. It is the return. It represents the. It represents a moment of hope for the Imperium of Man as one of the sons of the Emperor returns from death to lead his people directly from the front line against demonically possessed and demon worshipping traitors who've been waging a 10,000-year-long war against humanity with the intent of completely prolapsing reality and destroying it.
While also the hope that he will possibly make lives better for people in general by improving the system that has admittedly become very convoluted and corrupt since, well, the fall of the Imperium from its height of the Great Crusade.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it represents, Vaush. Now let's see what he is. Let's see what Vaush has to say.
to me, what it represents
To me, right there, he's gonna get it. He's gonna be as disingenuous as possible.
is a kind of larger than life, hyperbolized, propagandistic retelling.
He's going for.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
No, let's let him continue.
Okay.
Of a military force. You know what I mean? When I see this, I see propaganda in every paint stroke, and I like that because it's self-aware.
This is not Vaush. This literally represents the event as it was happening. This painting is a description of an event that happened in the setting. As part of the story, as part of the end of 7th edition. It was the Rise of the Primarch splat book for the end of 7th edition, where it tells the story of how Rabute Gilliman came back. This is not propagandizing anything. This is literally a snapshot of a battle as it was happening, as described from the perspective of God, not like some unreliable narrator.
But I think a lot of people see this and they see past the propagandizing, they just see glory. But that's all.
That's what it is.
All they see. They don't see anything else. To be clear, in the context of the story, the people here in armor, Space Marines, are barely human. They are war-torn, amoral, honor
Amoral, my ass.
obsessed.
Oh, okay. You can't. Okay.
Ultramarines.
Okay. You cannot be amoral and honor obsessed at the same time.
I wish Boobs was here for this.
I wish he was too. I wish he was. He'll watch it. He'll probably end up watching it. I know he watches my stuff pretty regularly. But yeah, again, you cannot be amoral and honor obsessed. Honor is immoral. It is a moral virtue.
A callous, condescending, killing machines who have at best neutral relationships with the rest of mortal humanity. Okay, that's at.
Yeah. Okay, listen to anyone who may be watching this. Listen. Go read some novels like, say, Hell's Reach or Hell's Reach, Rin's World. There's so many fucking any of the Space Marines battle books that are out there. They're available. Get them in print, get them in fucking on the Kindle, audiobook, whatever. Just read them. And you will see what he is saying flipped on its head. Like you'll have scenes of a chapter master's, princess carrying, exhausted mothers who've been carrying their children out of a war zone to get them to safety. You'll see the Reclusiarch of the Black Templars extolling the virtues of the mortal soldier. You'll see you'll see fucking like apothecaries of the Dark Angels delivering newborn children, and delivering newborn children because to save them because their mother has been wounded and is going to die, but they will save that child no matter what. And it's like, fuck you, Vaush. I'm not
salamanders.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna post an argument. Just fuck you. That's all I gotta say. You are wrong. You are objectively wrong.
Best. They're essentially, they're sociopathic.
Wait, did he just say
narcissists?
at best?
Sociopathic killing machine?
Narcissist. Yeah, at best, and calling them narcissists. Like
even his chat is like turning on him a little bit. Like people are bringing up, what about the salamanders though?
Yeah, right. Like
The honorable sons of Vulcan and the Lamenters are heck the majority of the children of Sanguinius.
the Ultramarines, for fuck's sake, their whole thing is like their whole thing is that they want to leave a world better than when they found it. Like that's their whole fucking like MO, you know? Which they got.
Are there Space Marines that can fit the description? Oh, surely.
Oh yeah. Like fuck, it's even funny how even the one of the go-to examples, the Marines Malevolent, that was literally just one captain that did that, and he got chewed out by his chapter master for it.
I mean, sociopathic, narcissistic killing machines. Oh, hey, Chaos, how you doing?
Oh, I mean, like you
Hey,
could.
don't talk shit about my boys.
I mean, but like I mean,
Okay.
but no, it's like but seriously though, it's like you want to like you could like argue like again examples of chapters like say the fucking Minotaurs are a great example of that. But even like the Minotaurs, like say like the reason the Lamenters who they fought in the Badab War weren't purged to a man was because Asterion Moloch, their chapter master, argued down the High Lords, saying like. He literally tells them, "Yo, I get it. They fought us and everything, but one, they were fighting out of an honor debt for not the Celestial Lines. I always get these two confused.
Lamenters?
No, he's arguing for the Lamenters. It was the Luft-Hurons boys. Astral Claws, yeah. He's like they were fighting alongside the Astral Claws against the Imperium out of an honor debt, not because they opposed the Imperium. So." On like a moral, ethical, or religious level. So wiping out the chapter is too much. And they also fought well, so we respect them. Like he told them that. Like Asterion Moloch told the High Lords this. He argued in favor of mercy toward what was effectively a traitor chapter. So like, yeah, it's like, don't hit me with this bullshit, Vaush.
Cool too, Vaush. Not all Space Marines don't be like that. Guys, I like the Salamanders too, but you know goddamn well the majority of Space Marines are sociopathic killing machines who would turn on humanity the nanosecond they felt that...
That's a manipulative statement.
This already happened, guys.
It happened with the ones that fell to fucking chaos. The ones that departed the Empire. Those are the ones that left. Yes, there are others who are like that. But then you've got the Ultramarines, the Imperial Fists, the Salamanders, and the Imperial Fists are by far one of the largest in chapters if you count for all of their successor chapters. There's like dozens of them. And
actually, I'm sorry to cut you off, Ash, but we're talking about the Imperial Fist. Are we forgetting there was a multi-novel series about how the Imperial Fist got treated like shit, which got them killed, and then when their successor chapters reformed the chapter, they still fought for humanity. Like the idea that the Space Marines would just turn on humanity on a dime. It's like, then why are they fighting for the Imperium at all, Vaush? Why would they at all? Like
what he's
honestly,
describing,
the Chaos Marines had a fucking reason or some sort
in
of
some
backing context to why they fell.
Yeah, it's almost like there were demons involved or something.
Or like a crazy weird sword that told the guy some things.
Except unironically for Conrad Kurz, he was just
Well, he's just a schizo. He's just a schizo.
He was literally a schizophrenic psychopath. Like, yeah, like literally schizophrenic. He had two personalities.
Already fucking happened, guys. Come on.
Why did it happen, Vaush?
I haven't forgotten the Horus Heresy.
Okay,
yeah,
why
you
did it
kind of
happen,
have.
Also,
Why did it happen though?
Yeah. Why'd it happen though? We're 22 minutes into this 42-minute video. You haven't even brought up why Horus started his heresy.
even the best Space Marine chapters kidnap human children and torture them for like a decade until they're ready to have skin implants and turn into Space Marines.
Okay. Shut the fuck up, Vaush. Okay, one of the funniest things ever was how the Marganeus Kelgar comic tried to reframe a lot of the more positive aspects of the Imperium into negatives. But even then, the author had it that the kids who become Ultramarines volunteer. They volunteer for this. It's not, and not in like a, you know, not in like a, you know, they're beaten until they, you know, they're beaten and gaslit until they want to go through unironic torture. It's like somebody wanting to become a Navy SEAL, like in high school, you know. It like, and then they join the military to do that. It's like that. A lot of the planetary cult, like that, because Space Marines are effectively, Space Marine recruiting worlds are effectively independent fiefdoms run by the chapter. In the cases of most Space Marine chapters, becoming a Space Marine is a high honor. The children who the young boys who become Space Marines, they want that honor. They want to fight for it. It's like, it's a thing they want to do, and it's like,
and for some of them, it's a way of also ensuring that their families are seen to as well.
Yeah, exactly, because the families of many Space Marines become serfs within this chapter, which is a highly honored position. The chapter serfs fill the position of anything from the janitor to the mortal infantry who help defend the fortress monastery or run the warships or all that stuff. It's like, there's so much context here. There's books and books of context about like Space Marine recruitment. And are there chapters that kidnap just kidnap random people? Yeah, sure there are. But then there's also so many more where it's a high honor that you aspire for to become a Space Marine. Like an Ultramar specifically, it is that becoming an Ultramarine is like a high honor. It is like, it's to the point where that the boy who became Marneus Calgar, who was not the original Marneus Calgar, he took the name of his friend who died. The boy who took the name Marneus Calgar was basically like it's like that Greek that Greek slave, a helot. I think that's the term. I think that's the term they use directly in the comic, a helot. He was a helot to the who served the actual Marneus Calgar, you know, the boy whose name he took, and they were friends. And the fact that he, like, the original Calgar's other friends who were nobles looked down on this helot boy because he was being given the chance to become an Astartes. They looked down on him. They thought he didn't deserve it. So yeah, it's not, Vaush is framing this in the most I keep using the word disingenuous during all this. The most disingenuous, like, way fashion, ignoring so much context and so much lore.
Shh. Okay, we're.
You notice he also shushes his chat.
Yeah.
Don't provide lore and context, guys. That could break my argument.
It's funny how he's all like, they're sociopathic narcissists, and while I'll certainly not say he's the former, he radiates vibes of the latter of, I'm the only one in the room who knows what he's talking about. I'm more informed than everybody here. My opinion is more valid than yours, even though it's like, literally, like, the Space Marines he was speaking of, the majority of which left the Imperium and joined Chaos.
Oh, okay. Let's look at chat real quick. Let's look at okay. Look at some of the things in chat. Let's see. Okay. There's this guy called Nuts about halfway through. Chat. Look up Blood Angels, or Random Pug. Vaush. That's what Chaos Marines are.
It's hard to attribute personhood to creatures that completely lack humanity. Wow, okay.
I noticed that people doing not all Space Marines are in the chat, or Space Marine Lives Matter. Like,
yeah, I'm saying that.
The guy, like, literally the guy doing hashtag Space Marine Lives Matter is named Bernie Bro. Like, oh my god.
Don't
Also,
ping over this.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. What was that real quick, hon?
Like, okay, fucking... Oh, that's what I was gonna say. You can please edit what I just said out, by all means.
It's okay, hon. It's okay. We all have brain farts.
I know they look nice in their armor, okay? But men are men, and these are not the best of them. They're just the tallest of them. That's...
Oh fuck, I just realized what I wanted to mention. The whole, it's hard to feel sympathy for things that lack humanity. It's like, that's not the most lefty point of view now, is it?
It's really not. That's actually an incredibly bigoted statement. Like, that's like holy shit levels of bigoted. Like, oh, it's like, okay, using Vaush's logic, the Tau Empire, they're not human.
No sympathy for them then.
Yeah, no sympathy. They're not human, Vaush. This is your logic, Vaush. Anything that can be seen as less human than you doesn't deserve sympathy.
Yet again, people on the left falling into the whole pit trap of I'm not racist, followed with very racist statements.
Yeah. It's like the meme of Ace Ventura walking through the police offices, leftist anti-racists on their way to say the most racist shit imaginable. It's literally that. Like, but anyway. But he said Space Marines aren't the best of humans, they're just the tallest of them. Like, yeah, again, incredibly reductive statement. Like, let's ignore all the shit Space Marines do. Let's ignore that.
It's the point. The point of all this media is that you can give people as much power as you want. It doesn't make them better. The whole point of the 40K story is that the more authority you give people, this does not necessarily correspond to a positive increase in the extent to which they can contribute positively to the world around them.
That's not at all what 40K is about, actually, because 40K is not political commentary. It's, yeah. Listen.
It's a story about humanity in a universe trying to survive.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna make a statement here. Those models in the back there, he only had them there to like frame the argument. To frame the argument.
I was thinking, like, do you think he just busted those out so he can have a little more weight to his argument?
Absolutely, 100%.
I'm gonna be honest. The fact it looks like only 2 of them are slightly painted. Actually, no, maybe not even then. It could just be like the shadows or something. But the fact they all look gray. Like maybe he had someone legitimately someone assemble these and put them back there to try to make the argument like, oh, I like Warhammer.
The Space Marines are superhuman, sure, but they're shown to be boastful and prideful and often quite sociopathic. And the Primarchs are all daddy issue bitch babies.
Okay.
Oh, I want to point out, I've never seen a person argue this that was like not, deliberately trying to, either they were either tourists or they were deliberately framing the lore wrong. I remember it was the thing that got Remy Down Under Gaming on my case when he made the argument that the Primarchs are all just Mary Sues and the writing for them is bad, and I pointed out how stupid a statement that was such a stupid statement it wasn't even worth arguing with. And he got super fucking pissed off, and I lived rent-free in his head for a couple of months. Like, he had one of his buddies make weird cuckoldry memes about me. Like, well, first of all, I don't want to get involved in your fetish. Second of all, yeah, no, that's a stupid statement about the Primarchs, and it's only one you would make if you've literally either never read about them or, want to make a deliberately bad argument. Same with Vaush here. It's worth pointing out, Remy and Vaush have been on stream together jerking off to Ukrainian war porn.
The Emperor himself, the best of humanity, was unable to understand the problems with how he treated the people beneath him.
Okay. True. Missing context. The Emperor has trouble understanding people who are beneath him in a sense of like power. In the power sense, like in the walking physical god, compared to a mortal sense. But the Emperor did not but this was not deliberate on the Emperor's part. It was an inability to relate.
Warhammer 40K is an anti-authoritarian piece of media.
Actually, no, I'd say I'd say it's pretty if we're making this argument, Vaush, it's pretty pro-authoritarian because it shows how the Imperium's authoritarianism is the only thing holding it together.
lot of people aren't willing to accept that because they're high on copium and they want to believe that all the glorious propagandizing paintings that they see are meant to be a representation of the tone of the setting morally, as opposed to the tone of the setting aesthetically.
I think you're projecting a little bit, buddy.
I think this is literally just him projecting his own lack of understanding onto other people. Or, you know, again, the more what I think is the more likely route. He knows he's wrong, but he knows how to argue things to to try and make people look bad. You know, I'm more inclined to go with that one.
But those are two very, 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 very different things. And I hope you all understand that, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with enjoying that media, by the way. If you like...
okay, here he goes trying to save his ass.
Reading 40K and, like, embracing just the stupid, stupid glory of, like, ah, yes, we piloted the cathedral ship of the Litany's Litany. 10 trillion men on board, the ship larger than a moon. We steer the ship into the sun and fire the cannon through the... Like, if you want to read shit like that, have fun, jerk off to it. I don't care. Have a ball.
Oh, okay. Did you see what he's doing here?
Yeah.
Okay. Who here has ever heard of Cosmonaut Variety Hour?
I've heard the name.
Okay, he was the one who would make arguments about how Star Wars is this politically deep and important commentary on like fascism and how it's, you know, it's inherently pro left wing and anti right wing and all this stuff. And then when people tried to argue against him, he came out with the famous line, "It's a story about space wizards meant for children." It's what you call appeal to triviality. And people like Vaush love to use this because when you come back around on their arguments to prove them and can objectively prove them wrong, they break out appeal to triviality and they say, "Oh, it's just stupid, it's just stupid and dumb, and you're taking it way too seriously. It's just for fun." You know, they will pivot on a dime if it means they can try to make you look wrong. And that's what he's doing here by arguing all this, by trying to argue the triviality of 40K as a setting.
That shit's fun as hell to read. But recognize, ultimately, that the media is a satire of politics and a satire of authoritarianism.
Who guessed satire? Who guessed satire?
I think we all had some variation of satire.
I think
it's a satire on fucking space shit from back in the day, is what it was for the most part, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like it was literally made, and you can find the quotes of Rick Priestley saying this. When he made 40K, it was literally just, you know, oh, that's cool, oh, that's cool, oh, that's cool. You know, it was a bunch of drunk and probably stoned British nerds in a basement talking about how they love Dune and Foundation and Judge Dredd and wanted to make their own like that. Like, that's what it was. That's literally what it was.
And also, wouldn't it be funny if we had like these cliche anime tropes, but in a sci-fi setting?
Oh yeah, and you know, also throwing in but they were also big Tolkien nerds, so they threw in orcs and elves and dwarves and fucking hobbits and all that shit from their favorite fantasy as well. They were just throwing shit in a blender, and 40K is what came out. And it's like, they say Priestley said straight up, you know, they did it because they wanted to create a setting, a wargaming setting for war games. Like that's it. They wanted to justify endless war, and that's all to have a war game, and that was it. That was why they did it. This is quoting the author, Vaush. This is quoting the author, the creator. And that intern who went off half cocked and put out the Imperium is represented by hate, but Warhammer is not article after the Austrian painter incident. No, they do not get a say. The Warhammer community interns do not get a say on what 40K is about.
The only caveat, and I mentioned this earlier, the only caveat there is to this fundamentally is that there's a premise that in the real world is untrue, but in 40K is true. But there's a difference between people who can recognize that premise is non-reality in 40K and people who think that because it exists in 40K, it must exist in the real world.
That's literally leftist media thought. Vaush, your entire argument here is that, because you can maybe extrapolate things from 40K, that it must represent things in reality. Like, that's the entire crux of your argument.
And that is the idea that great terror is justified by external threat.
I mean,
yes, someone is breaking into my home. I should not be scared of a person breaking into my home.
yeah, like, I'm pretty certain. Why am I reminded of that one guy who said if someone broke into his home and pointed a gun at him and his family, and he would, and he got shot, they asked, how would you feel about that? And he's like, well, I'd die happy knowing that I didn't resort to violence. And people were like, yeah, your family's going to be right behind you, buddy. Like, I'm sorry, but if somebody's threatening you, like, they are going to harm you, that justifies retaliatory violence. Like that's self-defense 101. You don't let people walk all over you.
In the real world today, people on the right will justify authoritarianism by saying that our civilization is under threat from within and from without. These people are objectively wrong. Far-right governments are more unstable than liberal democracies by...
Hey, Vaush, I don't know how to tell you this, but that ahistorical statement of the average empire only lasts 250 years. The average democracy only lasts about half that. I'm forgetting the age of my own country. I am an idiot. Hold on.
Independence in the 1700s.
How old is the United States?
I hope you're going to edit this out, honey.
No, I'm not going to edit. No, listen. No, I will. I'm not interested in your AI bullshit. Your AI bullshit, Google. No, I won't edit this out. And the reason I won't edit this out is very simple. Because I don't pretend to know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I will never frame myself as pretending to know everything.
249.
Yeah, 249 years. All right, now let's do a little thing here. How old? Fuck, I'm using my phone here. Is the oldest?
Zeph wants to know if he can come in.
Yeah, he can come in. I don't mind. How old is the oldest democracy? Let's see. Iceland's national parliament dates back to 903, but it spent centuries under Norwegian and Danish rule. Huh. So yeah, I don't. That actually kind of proves the point, though. Democracies tend to be a little bit. Democracies tend to be unstable.
Hey, Zeph.
Hello, Zeph.
Hey, Zeph.
Hello.
There was. I know it's a common argument of the left to frame empires as inherently unstable, but empires tended to be more stable. That tend to be more stable than democracies, because a democracy's entire political outlook and goals can shift in a year. Where empires, even the empires that went through a lot of bullshit and upheaval, generally kept themselves. Oh, I gotta move the guest list. Millie's getting pushed off the screen there. There we go. You're safe. Yeah, empires tended to stay on track. They only really got thrown off if the emperor in charge was kind of a nutcase. Your Caligulas, for example. I'm not going to bring up Nero because, much as I'm a Christian, Nero is pretty famously smeared by Christians in the historical texts for reasons. It had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with lions in the Colosseum or anything like that. Anyway, continuing.
Any measurable extent, and the idea that the existence of trans people within and Mexican immigrants without are tearing up.
Hey, okay. Who said? Yeah. Okay. Who was it who had? Who was
minorities.
It who, yeah.
Yep,
Who was it who had minority groups represent Chaos and Xenos on their bingo card?
that was me.
Yeah. Okay. So we got Satire. Ash, I believe you were Satire. Psyche, you guessed minorities represent Xenos and Chaos. I said female space marines. Millie, what did you say?
I said Tau dick writing was gonna be meant like at some point in here, and I was kind of right with the chat members.
Yeah. Okay.
Only counts if it's Vaush.
Yeah. Well, Vaush has to say, but those types are clearly in chat. But yeah. All right. So, right. Let's. Yeah.
Part our country is ludicrous fear-mongering. So in the real world, when people talk about how we have no choice but to do X, or our Western civilization will fall apart in any moment if we kowtow to these demands, they're wrong. However,
oh boy, here we go.
In the universe of Warhammer 40,000, there is an argument to be made that ruthless, unrelenting authoritarianism and military supremacy is justified because the threats to humanity are real. And
wow, you know what? You know he's saying that now after keeping it out of the context for so long, for like over half the video.
And in the context of 40K, this is true. This is completely true. Not all the bad stuff the Imperium of Man does is justified, but authoritarianism and military supremacy are necessary parts of self-defense in that universe. Because I've only talked about the Imperium of Man, I haven't talked about the Tyrannid, or the Necron, or the Orcs, or fucking Chaos. I haven't talked about any of the big threats that are barely...
I'm gonna say one thing before he gets into this. One, I'm incredibly surprised he'd bring it up. Two, this doesn't really change anything because, again, you notice how he was framing the argument up until this point? Deliberately ignoring Chaos and Xenos and all that stuff. That's an argumentative tactic to get people against the Imperium. The people he's preaching to. And then he'll bring this up. But at that point, the opinion he wants will be sowed. It doesn't matter if he brings it up or not at this point. Yeah, this is an argumentative This is a common argumentative tactic with these types.
Pulling down on humanity from every side. And if you guys read and keep up with the lore in 40K, you find that humanity is losing all the time, constantly being pushed back further and further. The last big thing that happened in the lore was that one of the most heavily fortified planets in all of the Imperium, called Cadia, got blown up by crashing a spaceship the size of a moon into it, and then a warp storm the size of the galaxy cut the galaxy in half, leaving two Imperiums, the regular Imperium and the Dark Imperium. Half of humanity is now cut off from contact from Terra. They're fucked. Now, in 40K, in that universe, relentless authoritarianism...
Oh, okay. I saw this. I'm sorry. I gotta pause this. I gotta point out this guy in chat. Golden Gladiator. I fucking hate that chaos exists in 40K. Its existence means that the only way to fight it is to be fashy.
Shut the fuck
Oh,
up!
God.
Oh my fucking god!
It still shows that it's inevitable. This is from King Cleric. The Imperium is still a crumbling mess. It shows how minuscule we are to believe that we can overcome the horrors of the cosmos. For us in real life, that is really a metaphysical or symbolic thing.
Black pill.
Chaos is based. Fuck that person in particular.
Yeah, no. Go indomitable human spirit to the end.
Yeah, like that's what 40K is about. It's about the indomitable human spirit.
Oh,
And
hey,
milita-
everyone.
What?
There is a sister of battle standing outside in the war. Where she's perfectly fine.
Yeah. My girl Celestine.
military supremacy and sending children to work in factories when they're 10 years old might actually be the only way those humans as a species can survive.
Actually, this is another statement by Rick Priestley said exactly that, by the way, that this really is the only way the Imperium can survive.
And guys, for those of you who have read 40K, you agree, right? Not making this up. Humanity is constantly losing. Even with everything the Imperium does, they lose. Every year more planets fall. Yeah, it's very fucked. And that's why it's grimdark. Because it's a fantasy universe where even the worst excesses of human military encroachment can't save us.
Okay, but again, I'm going to bring this up. If you're willing to, that he's willing to admit this, but still make the argument, shows he doesn't understand 40K or its fans. Like, if you can admit that the setting exists in its own moral context, then you can't argue that the people who enjoy it unironically, don't try to see to some political commentary, enjoy it for that, fictional moral context. That's like, you cannot argue that a setting has its own context and then say people, oh, they don't get it. It's like, we do get it. That's the point. We actually enjoy the fact that, we enjoy the fact that, humanity, fighting against, the impossible like that. It's almost like that's the point. It's that it's not political.
That's what makes it grimdark. That there is no hope.
And that's, by the way, that's objectively wrong. There is actually hope. Hope is the entire point of grimdark. If you don't have hope in grimdark, you just have like fucking, it's grimdark without hope is just the author jerking themselves off. You want a good example of that? Fucking Lord of the Flies. You don't like Lord of the Flies. Wouldn't you say I'm pretty accurate with that?
Yeah, fucking Lord of the Flies is like, oh well, boys, specifically boys, left to their own devices will inevitably fall to like barbarism and infighting and social cannibalism, even though actual demonstrated accounts of this sort of shit happening, i.e. young boys being isolated in an island, demonstrate that it did not actually happen that way.
Yeah, I remember. Wasn't there a tale of some 7 got stranded on an island and they spent time to help even their friend who broke his leg?
Yeah.
Yep. They basically broke down tasks. Like, they had a firekeeper, they had hunters, they had people whose like job was like to maintain certain things. And if somebody was injured, they were allowed to rest and looked after while their roles were filled in by their compatriots. And they survived like that for a year and like 3 months.
Yep. And and it's like the whole like this is the difference between, say, grimdark and grimderp, as it's called by people. And like Lord of the Flies is the epitome of grimderp. Like, like the kids plane go like they're like I think it was like a plane that went down, and they the plane went down in the ocean, like it made a landing, and they got onto the island, and then like the they set the idea that it was there was a nuclear war going on, and that's why the kids were left Britain. And like there's like the whole like, oh, they're stuck here, there's nothing to go back to, so they end up devolving into barbarism and murdering each other. And then in the end, it's all pointless because they get rescued anyway. So they were killing each other for nothing. And it's like, that's grimderp. Like that's grimderp. Like, to the point where it even tries to frame, the return to normalcy as an evil. And like the whole.
All right.
The whole framing of trying to say there's no hope in 40K misses the point, because I'm gonna shill, by the way, I'm gonna shill FeralHistorian. You know what? I will link his channel down below. He has done legitimately amazing Warhammer 40K lore videos, and he's done legitimately amazing Warhammer 40K lore videos, and he gets 40K in a way that people like Vaush never could. And I'm going to link his channel down below in the video. So yeah, go check his channel out. His videos on 40K are really good. He legit did the best Tau Empire lore video on YouTube.
Also, I just want to make this point because like we brought up the whole like Lord of the Flies thing, and I will eternally make this point. it's not only Grimdark, but like the actual authorial intent was negative to begin with, because like the author, Golding, he was writing it purely out of spite for his like peers at the time, who were like writing really like chintzy, penny dreadful, like boys adventure novels about like young, schoolboys getting isolated on islands and thriving because I guess British and whatnot. And here's the thing. Golding was as close as it gets to an author being, well, other than like somebody writing propaganda or having been part of the Nazis, he was a schoolyard version of a fascist, because he worked at a fucking boys academy. And in that day, the faculty had the right to beat kids for, putting their foot out of line. So it's also not helped that British academies have a tendency to section off people into housing systems. So they encourage the idea of inter-house rivalries, which inevitably, when you like create tribes within humanity, you create essentially the promise of infighting and violence.
Yeah, before we move on real quick, I'm just gonna say he was the equivalent of Mother's Basement, being so utterly mad at the isekai genre, basically. Like
100%.
Yep. All right, here we go.
Even the
Sorry.
worst case scenario,
It's okay.
where we bleed away all of our humanity into putting everything towards our military, where we give away.
Oh, a quick shout out to Keisha and HD in the chat. Is human survival worth it in that world?
Yes.
Yeah, the usual misanthropic nihilism.
All of our rights, everything we have. That's still not enough. That's what makes it grimdark. And right-leaning people like it because they don't realize that that's satire. They look at that element of 40K and think, wow, you're right. Mexicans are just like the Necrons. Trans people are like Slanesh. And
literally only liberals say that.
Muslims are corn.
Literally only liberals have said that.
I have never ever okay, that entire argument entered the 40K space because Bitshammer said that those groups represent the various Xenos and demons and stuff. That like I've never seen someone on the right I've never seen someone on the right argue that in this I mean, I'm not saying the right doesn't have morons on it that might try to make that kind of argument, but I've never seen the right hold that as a honest position of interpretation of Warhammer lore or any fantasy setting. But the left, all fucking day, they hold that position.
Guys, I guess I'm Slanesh coded now.
I mean, see, that's funny because you like the undivided, one of the undivided legions.
Right.
Yeah, but you need Vaush here to tell you what you like,
And they read that and they soy and they cream their little.
Can we point out the irony real quick of Vaush accusing people of soying?
He's literally the soy jack, soy pog, phenotype, so he can shut up.
Yeah.
Fucking board shorts, cargo shorts with the pockets. That's what they think. Corn, KHORN.
Wait, what the fuck is wrong with cargo shorts?
Where the fuck is he going with this?
I don't know. Anyway,
it's a god. He's bad. Here's what corn looks like. Okay. Here's what they think Islam is. Okay. Here's corn. All right.
This is
there
not.
You go.
Oh,
No one
God.
has ever said. This is the first time I've heard of people comparing Islam to cornate worship.
this is the first time I've heard anyone compare Islam to Warhammer 40K. Period. I've never
previously.
Listen, I used to run with fucking Wokehammer L's and all them fucking Legion of Unpopular Opinion weirdos, and they never made this comparison. I've never seen this comparison anywhere of corn to Islam. What, Vaush? What the fuck? What the actual fuck, buddy?
Now, the thing is, in real life, nothing that looks like this actually exists. Yes, he's basically just Satan. In real life, the painting we're looking at right now doesn't exist.
Oh, I want to read what this guy's what this guy said with this when he gave simped for Vaush here.
$5.
In 10 years, I'm going to read it exactly as typed. In 10 years, conservative cuds will try to argue that the Owl House and She-Ra are somehow upholding conservatism. Mark my words. I've met a lot of people on the left that hate both those shows.
I actually like both of those shows for specific reasons.
I've never watched She-Ra, but I really enjoyed the Owl House. But I'm going to be
She-Ra for lesbians.
Well, of course. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say this straight now. We've said it before. I'll say it again. Fucking, it is more likely you will see somebody on the left make weird turns about stuff like fucking Stellar Blade comes out. People are like, oh, it's Gooner tier gaming.
I was gonna bring this up. We only have to wait 5 years, then the left will say, actually, Stellar Blade was woke, and it's not for you.
It's for the lesbians.
It's lesbian coded. Ah.
No, I'm gonna play because I'm a gooner. I'm gonna be real with you, Chief.
Pregnancy mod or no balls.
Yeah, dude.
Right. Okay, I was literally about to bring that up if you hadn't, Ash. Good job on that. Unironically. All right.
Nothing looks like this in real life. In 40K, something does look like that.
Yeah, you'd find a lot of people on the right who'd agree
Blood
with
for
you,
the blood
Vaush.
god. Wait, there are actual gods? They're in the warp. There are gods in the 40K universe, but they're gods in like the Norse sense, where they're gods in the sense that like they're just incredibly powerful entities.
They're aspect deities is the word you're looking for, you uncultured, uninformed idiot. Like, this dude's an atheist and he doesn't even have any understanding what he's fucking talking about. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like last I checked, the Norse pantheon weren't just incredibly powerful entities. They were, they were seen as people, and
they had distinct personalities.
Yeah, and you notice now he's very nervous as he has to bring up what a chaos god actually is. You notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have like a moral claim to the universe. It's just they're really, really strong. Not.
I mean, technically, when you get right down to it, considering the chaos gods are born from the vices of fallen empires, it's heavily implied now as of the Siege of Terra. Each chaos god was born from a fallen Xenos empire that preceded the previous three, and because of like the whole Dark King prophecy, that's a whole other level of lore we don't have time to go into. But
that's more theoretical at this point, but some basis.
Yeah, it is basic. There's basis in it, but it's like, considering the moral downfall of different empires is implied to have birthed the chaos gods. There is kind of a moral claim there, but that's not framed as a good thing in the setting. That's not framed as a good thing considering what the chaos gods are.
Not gods like the Christian God, where it's like they made the universe. More like they were born of power and they're very evil. Yeah, they're like primal elemental forces, basically. And this guy's the primal force of violence. Yeah, gods in power, not in title. Exactly. There are 4 of them. Maybe there are 4 of them.
But no. There are 4 of them.
There are at least 4 of them.
There are 4 of them. I mean, like, yes, Slanesh got thrown in horny jail in Age of Sigmar, but she still exists. She's still there. And also breaking out of prison now, thank God.
Isn't fucking Khorne, like, okay, Khorne being reduced to just violence is like a little dumb. Isn't Khorne also like martial prowess and stuff on top of that?
And honor.
Honor.
Yeah, there's martial prowess and also a kind of twisted honor in that Khorne is honest, basically. Khorne would never like lie to you. He would just fucking kill you, like that. It's like that. All right, let's see.
I imagine this fucker's gonna say Slanesh is just horny lust in the next couple of seconds.
Yeah, no, I'm willing to bet that, because Slanesh is the one these types like to misinterpret as the sex god, and not the god of excess in all its forms.
Anyway, in real life, nothing like that exists. In real
You know,
life,
she's trying to get off the
humanity is not
topic of
being
describing the
besieged
chaos
by
gods.
ancient souls entrapped within living metal armor that were laid to rest on planets millions of years ago, who rise now to reclaim the galaxy.
No,
Necrons?
Yeah, he that is the worst description of the Necrons ever.
Their souls got eaten. There is no souls in them.
Yeah, they weren't laid to rest. They went to sleep of their own volition.
Legitimately, that was their plan. We'll rest and wait until the galaxy is take back.
Yeah, that was like their whole plan. Like, you know what? He's not beating the allegations that he never read up on Warhammer before this and put a bunch of minis in the background to try to legitimize himself.
In real life, humanity is not under attack from gene seed stealing tyranny.
We know that Horsecock man.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I was more going over how he stammers about it, you know? Like, listen, as a guy who's admittedly stammers a lot, even I don't stammer that bad.
Bug hive fleets that blacken the sky with their aerial forces. We're not under attack from mushroom orcs. We're not under attack from the concept of mortal decay. We're not under attack from any of this crap, okay? There aren't Dark Eldar raiding our settlements. As I understand, the many political problems that Haiti experiences do not among them include Slaneshi cults. In real life,
what does Haiti have to do with
happen.
anything?
Why did Haiti suddenly
come
up?
I legitimately don't know.
The universe is dark.
This is like
as far as we know.
What, a 40-year-old franchise? Haiti wasn't even fucking relevant to its creation. It's not relevant to England.
There's only mankind. All of that need for authoritarianism and militarism wash away. Those of you who are familiar with the setting would know that, right? I mean, you might still have problems with, like, rebels and stuff, but if there was no chaos and no Xenos, only humans traveling the stars, then not 1,000th of what the Imperium does can be justified. Not even close.
Yes.
Because there is no great existential enemy. And
okay, but there is.
Here on Earth today, there's
in
also
universe, like,
no great
Jesus.
Yeah, but he's going back and forth between what is in the setting and real life, and so he's trying to take the straw man of what he thinks the right sees and apply it to how they think it's real life, and that's why they like it. It's stupid. He can't stick to one thing.
Yeah, it's legit. Like, when he was arguing before, he wouldn't even bring up chaos. You'll notice how hard he tried to, like I said it earlier, when he actually had to describe chaos, you notice how hard he tried to pivot off of it. Because that would undermine his whole argument, you know, that, you know, the 40K fans he describes, and by the way, it's not right wing, it's not right wingers, it's 40K fans. Like,
I'm looking at the chat side.
Well, yeah, so he very explicitly said right wing earlier on, and that's why I brought it up, because he's doing a severe straw man.
Yeah. I think Zeph got aggro, but no, I totally get you, Zeph. Believe me.
Existential enemy. There's just us and gorillas who will one day fight us for supremacy over this planet. A fight that we will hopefully win, but we'll deal with that when we get to it.
That joke wasn't even funny.
That wasn't even close to funny. That wasn't even close to funny.
Like, that was the lamest joke ever.
Yeah.
It's clearly like the kind of joke one makes when they realize that their argument is floundering. Because, like, his whole argument required him to be like, oh yeah, okay, sure, there's this chaos, but, like, you know, like, still, chaos isn't real in real life, and racism is real, and that's why, like, you shouldn't, like, you know, delude yourself about this setting and, like, obsess over it. And then makes a joke to, like, get away from the topic, because he knows his fucking whole point is thin as fuck. As fuck.
I also think it's funny, he's like, there is no existential threat to mankind, but he literally treats the existence of right-wing thought as an existential threat to mankind.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right, let's let him cook a little more.
So hopefully I've explained my thoughts on the politics of all this.
No, you really haven't. Well, not very well. I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves here.
The key element of satire in 40K, the thing that justifies the we're all bad guys together theme, the setting, is the idea of an existential external threat, which is something that does not exist in reality.
Well, also the problem with this is that, you know, under the speculative moral situation of Warhammer 40K, that means humanity is not the bad guys. That means they're the good guys. Like, it's like I said, when you write, it's like I've said before, when you write a story where the only goal left is to simply survive, that makes the survival in and of itself a moral good. Like, that's like, say, like I always compare it to the road, you know? The father in the road is the Imperium, the son is humanity. You know? It doesn't matter what the father does as long as the son survives.
Who's the Holy Ghost in that equation?
That's clever, and I hate it. all right, going on.
Love you.
Unless you're talking
I
about,
love
like,
you too.
solar flares or some shit, you know what I mean? Like something like that. But and in terms of human action, we are ourselves, and that's it. And that's why I like 40K. I like 40K because I like the Imperium of Man in the few moments where the horrible things that it does are justified. I like 40K because there's something grimly, horrifically interesting about reading a book and thinking, wow, they really didn't have a choice but to nuke that city from orbit, did they? That's just an interesting setting. You know what I mean? It's like
now he's pivoting back toward, you know, the, you know, the argument that, oh, it's just fiction. He's pivoting back toward that argument now. And then watch, as soon as he's done, he'll pivot back toward using it to, oh, but it's actually super important, and I will use this to tear down the right.
it's like anathema. It's like a cure to all those young adult novels where, like, the group of teenagers have to save the universe, but they're too pansy to kill anyone along the way.
That's
so you
it.
have that
Okay, that's
point
apt.
that happens,
I'll give him
like,
that.
in the middle of the second book, where it's like, yeah, we're saving the world, but we can't kill him, and then they deliberate over that for 30 pages. That does not happen in 40K. That is not a conversation that takes place in 40K. It's just a different vibe, and I like that vibe. And I love Avatar: The Last Airbender even for its advocacy for pacifism.
Yeah, by the way, I want to point out, he talks about how, like, this is kind of almost like this is exclusive to 40K. I'm going to bring up Gundam again. You know, like Gundam is legitimately a lot of the time says, wow, we got to kill this guy, protagonist Kun.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Also, I'm gonna actually, it's not spicy, so I can post it in text for voice. The fucking Pepe I see all the time. I saved it purely for this.
Oh, hold up. I'll bring this up. Hold on.
Yeah.
40K be like.
Yeah. Well, honestly, any well-written setting is just like this, because the whole if you kill him, you'll be just like him is one of the dumbest fucking tropes in all of fiction.
I also have a comic. There it is. Nope. Stop trying to put in like a plus sign. There we go.
Honestly, the only Western comic that really does it good sometimes is Batman, and that's strictly when they're analyzing that Batman's refusal to kill his enemies is part of his psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah, Batman is a clearly disturbed individual, but that leans into why he won't kill people. But again, when they're analyzing it in that context, that he does it because it's part of his psychosis, that's when it works. When you just pull out the whole, oh, if you kill him, you'll be just like him, when the protagonist is like, fucking chin deep in the bodies of the people he's killed to get this far, It's so fucking cheap, you know. I'm looking at you, Neil Druckmann. That's all I'm saying on that. Anyway, moving on.
I would never want anyone who takes 40K seriously to make real-world political prescriptions.
Do I even need to say it? Do I even need to say it? Do I even need to say it at this point?
No, go ahead, honey.
I feel the lady doth protest too much. That's all I'm going to say.
You know? You get what I mean, right? I think you get what I mean. That's why a lot of far-right people like this stuff, because they see the grand external threat and they think it's reflective of what's happening today, and also the aesthetics appeal to them and stuff like that.
Vaush, Vaush, I'm going to point out again, you believe in the concept of fascism as this existential, borderline spiritual threat that you can't even really define other than the fact that it's an evil existential threat. Like, this is classic projection. That's what it is. It's classic projection. The political left is operated off the idea of existential threats since Obama's been in office. And I say that as a guy who voted for him twice.
Yeah. Yeah, you can invest in the fantasy without endorsing it. And you don't have to be like
I'm sorry, it's just so frustrating every time he gives the lip service argument toward, how people actually treat 40K fans treat 40K versus his weird projections.
a responsible 40K player. Have fun with it. Just don't be stupid enough to believe that just because in the magical fantasy universe there are like evil aliens, that somehow applies to real world political decision making.
Not a single person believes that.
No one thinks that way, you fuckwit.
You know what? It's ironic this is coming from a dude who, if I said to him, define fascism, he'd probably block me.
Yeah.
I can't believe there are people who actually have a shallow enough understanding of the world to actually.
You clearly believe that, despite all evidence to the contrary.
Vaush, you are literally the only person I've ever seen who's ever brought up corn equals Muslims.
I want to point out somebody in chat.
Mhm.
They wrote, I mean, the Tau are kind of a communism analogy, and I'm about to tap out, honestly, after that one.
Look, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm surprised that we've made it this far. I've been tempted to just say, Vaush, you're a fucking idiot, and stop the video.
There's 8 minutes left. We can make it through.
Games Workshop laughs at you people. Honestly, how can you? Yeah.
No, I don't think Games Workshop laughs at you people, as he put it, as you call us, because because you people also the 40K satire people are always funny to me because they will always also argue how, oh, but 40K isn't satire anymore. They take it seriously. They don't write it as satire. They'll like say both things with the same breath. So yeah, arguing when Games Workshop laughs at you, it's like, okay, they keep writing the Imperium is justified, and you're the one who keeps projecting politics onto it.
The reason you like 40K is because you like feeling justified in justifiable authoritarian measures. I'm not the one calling Exterminatus on planets. I just think it's interesting that there's a universe where things are so fucked that these are the decisions that people have to make. What do you mean, me justified? I'm not doing it. Of course, the best 40K stories aren't actually about the big battles and the big fleets and everything. The best stories in 40K are about humans desperately trying to carve out a life for themselves in that hellish world. It gets boring reading over and over again. Oh, wow, the big fleet parked outside the city. The guy called in from the ground. Dude, there's like aliens here, and they're like super badass, bro. Like bigger than what Star Wars can get away with, for sure.
I can tell this man has never read a 40K novel in his life.
Yeah.
This is like whenever you see the Clout Goblin and her awful takes on what Space Marines are like. You have clearly never read anything Space Marine related in your entire life. You are glowing in the dark right now. You're with your tourist status.
And also there's like chaos, and when you look at the demons, they ripple a bit in reality, and like, You know how big our ships are? Bigger than any other currently existing sci-fi property.
By the way, this is him going back to appeal to triviality.
The best stories are the ones where humans, broken, flawed, and traumatized, desperately try to carve out a life for themselves in a world that is utterly inhospitable to human life. Those are the best 40k stories. You know? Do you think there's a way to have those types of media without attracting Nazis like moths to a lamp? Well, for one, we need more left-leaning people getting in on the media. You guys should join it.
Here it comes.
No, it's the same problem with Gundam. Fuck off.
Yeah, here it comes. Here's the part where he argues we got to kick people we don't like out of the hobby.
What book should we start on? If you guys want to start on any like books yourselves, the Horus Heresy series is like dozens of books long. It's just kind of an ongoing project, but the first 5 or so books are a good read. The Night Lords trilogy, while it presumes some stuff, is a really, really good series of books.
What it presumes some stuff? The fuck does that mean? What's it presuming?
It insists upon itself.
Oh God! Hey, listen, if anybody wants to be like, if anybody can like, draw variations of memes, I want to see a Vaush in the flooding Family Guy fucking
Safe room?
the panic room saying, I do not like the Night Lords trilogy. It insists upon itself.
And I like the Eisenhorn trilogy, and it leads into the Ravenhorn trilogy, and then the Beckwin trilogy, which hasn't finished yet. It's
pain. Finish the trilogy. Finish the trilogy, Abnett.
Just 2 books of the 3. Those are fun. I like those a lot. Eisenhorn really is phenomenal. The thing that I like about the Eisenhorn books,
I'm bracing myself for this because I love those books,
is that they're you read from the perspective of an inquisitor. And an inquisitor is like a detective, basically, but like amped up 20 times. And there's this searing contrast between the faltering humanity of the protagonist and the inhumanity of the world that he finds himself in. Something that I find more gripping than a Space Marine protagonist, in my personal opinion.
Well, your opinion's trash, because if you can read something like Hell's Reach and say a Space Marine isn't a good character, then you got brain problems. That's all I'm saying.
Get into stuff like that. You can look into tabletop games if you're incredibly wealthy. If you're exceedingly wealthy, maybe if you have a lot of money, so much money, maybe you could consider buying a single Warhammer miniature.
You know what?
Just like I did.
You could just get in a tabletop sim. It's not that big a fucking deal.
Yeah, I'm gonna point out the fact he's framing a singular miniature as such an impossibility. Like, I will never say you have to own minis to be a 40k fan, but framing buying a single mini in such this unserious sense when you're trying to get people into 40k shows how this isn't about the fact he loves 40k. He clearly doesn't. It's about the fact he wants to subvert the hobby.
Just get a mortgage first. There's also the whole 3D printing thing, which if I talk about it at any length, Games Workshop will delete my channel, but you can, there's plenty of stuff to look in there. That are at the very least worth being aware of. So that's nice. It's just fun to get into, you know? There are nice video games. The Total War Warhammer series is in fantasy, but that's good. Mechanicus slaps. It's like an...
He didn't even... Oh, this game is great. I don't know the title.
XCOM style game, you know? There was the Xbox 360 Space Marine. There's the Dawn of War.
It was on PC too, buddy.
Series, which are RTS games.
And PS3.
Oh yeah, and PS3. Oh shit. I mean, PC was the only up until the admittedly botched remaster came out. PC was the only place to get it.
Games, which everyone loves. There's Battlefleet Gothic Armada, which is like a space tactics, like fleet management game, which I like. Mechanicus is really, really good, yeah. Warhammer Vermintide is Warhammer Fantasy, but they're part of the same broad IP, so you can look into that. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff to play. A lot of really fun stuff to play. Sig Marxism, again, is a left-leaning Warhammer 40,000 subreddit that's worth looking into.
I, as a left-leaning person, will avoid Sig Marxism like the fucking plague. Is all I'm saying.
The guy's legit, because you see what he's doing here. He's trying to steer people to places to get propagandized to. Like, people who don't know, who might come to this video and they don't know, and then he's trying to steer those people to places, whereas people with, who will politically propagandize to them and poison the well of Warhammer to them.
It's time to remind everyone that this is, after all, the guy who said that we wouldn't need ages of consent in a communist world.
Remember,
I'm sorry, what?
I don't remember. I don't remember. This is the guy who said, okay, I'm stepping on a landmine here with this topic. I don't care. I'm jumping on that shit. This is the guy who said, and I'm quoting, only right-wingers enjoy lolicon because all right-wingers are pedophiles, and part of right-wing psychosis is being a pedophile. He reframes being right-wing as psychosis, by the way. And then he got caught with lolly porn on his fucking hard drive.
You mean goblins?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Goblins. So,
as a left-leaning person, and then I look at my current VTuber model, damn, I guess I'm a right-winger now.
Man, I made a post on Twitter earlier about how left and right really don't exist anymore, and it's instead collectivist and individualist, and people just like don't understand that the two concepts have kind of died. Like the very concept of politically left and right have kind of died, but that's really the only way they know how to frame it anymore. That's a rant I made, but that's a topic for another time, in my opinion.
And if you're interested in knowing how you can reform these spaces to make them a little bit more hospitable.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
For people a little bit less far right-leaning, the best thing you can do, actually, is get into the medium so thoroughly that you become part of the community, which allows you to have a say and sway over where the community goes in the future.
Can you pause real quick?
Yeah.
It's the same problem with Gundam right now. Because all these people are trying to get in a Gundam with the sole intention of politics, that they shift the cool robots into politics and trying to relate it to real world shit. And it's just like, can we just enjoy it and have fun? Like, do I need to talk about like the politics of like space people killing each other? Can I just build my fucking Yakushiki in peace, bro?
It's like. Honestly, the whole I remember I reacted to the trash taste video of Gundam is impossible to get into, and how they talked about how like they spent some time gassing up Iron Blood Orphans and then start shit talking Iron Blood Orphans. The whole video was just them shilling Witch from Mercury as the first relevant Gundam in a long time.
I am fully honest, and Witch from Mercury, I enjoy it just because of lesbians. I don't give a shit otherwise.
Well, that makes you more forthcoming than most of the other people who watched Witch from Mercury, didn't even know what Gundam was, and then got utterly horrified at the slap.
And the mosquito scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Now books that are being written that have non-binary characters. Weren't there some non-binary? What were they? Were they from the Assassinatorum? Who were the non-binary?
They're not the. Okay. Calidus assassins don't identify as gender non-binary. They inject a chemical into their body that lets them shapeshift.
Why does everything have to be gender and politics? Like, oh my god.
No, believe me, I feel you on this. I feel you on this, Millie. I just.
And this is coming from a fucking trans person. I'm so tired of this conversation with these people.
Characters, they go by they them.
Okay, first of all, Vaush, they don't. Second of all, they have been in the lore as long as the Officio Assassinorum has existed. So don't talk about now, okay? It's like when people try, oh, look, they finally put black people in Warhammer. Motherfucker, I could point you back to literally, like, the dawn of 40k novels where they had black characters. Shut the fuck up.
right? Who was it? I think. Oh, it was in one of the books. I haven't read the book. I just heard a segment of it. Why does that matter?
Bruh.
He can't.
Bruh.
He can't even name the Calidus Temple. He's trying to use the Calidus Temple in this the Calidus Assassin Temple in this argument. He can't even fucking name it or know where it comes from.
Non-binary representation in some of these books can be indicative of the direction the community is moving in.
Well, actually, no, because there were LGBT characters in 40K going back to the early 2000s. So, no, not really, Vaush. Again, you would, if you were a 40K fan, you would know this. If you weren't a tourist, you would know this. You're trying to frame it in a sense like, oh, look, there's nothing left for the right wingers. It's like, no, buddy, they knew about this too, because they've been into 40K longer than you. In fact,
This just reminds me of that one Dread Anon video with Horus and the Emperor.
oh yeah,
You remember? You know the one?
the Emperor's
The Chud dimension.
the Emperor's woke. And then they push the button too hard. The Emperor's a chud. I love Dreadnought.
It's interesting, though, that in 40K, there's not really much bigotry in the way we understand it today. Is there, like, racism in the Imperium of Man? I'm sure there is on some planets, but it's not.
We literally talked about this. We literally talked about this earlier. How the what we understand today as interhuman bigotry is not a thing anymore. You might find it on some planet. Like there's like in like I brought up War of the Beast earlier in Predator Prey, the second book. There is a scene that implies some kind of animosity between the darker skinned people of the south of the planet of this one planet and the people of the north, like the lighter skinned people of the north. But like it's like a little implication, but the idea that there is some sort of widespread interhuman bigotry as we can comprehend it in 40K, that just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
Chat's
it's purely
pointing out female space marines, by the way.
What who is what?
Chat.
Kitty Shadow Shard has said trans space marines, and somebody else down there says make a whole army of lady space marines. My take on that is I would only enjoy those just because it's muscle mommies, but otherwise I don't give a shit. That's what the Sisters of Battle giving me my fill of muscle mommies.
Not talked
Well, I was
about
gonna
much.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say but it is purely planetary to planetary. Yeah, there's gonna be individual human cultures that do practice bigotry. Like the Valhallans are still struggling with sexism. You mentioned one setting where a space marine meets a woman who's yeah, I've basically got a paper pushing job. I'm so proud of it. And he's like, oh yes, that must be very important for you, even though it's
Oh, right, yeah, that's Brothers of the Snake. The Brothers of the Snake when Priam meets she was the first woman ever elected to a political position on her planet. For context, their planet is in a cultural and technological state roughly analogous to World War One. So even by those standards, it's progressive. But she's all proud of it, and Priam is all humoring her because he's a space marine. He's seen the wider Imperium, and this is a girl from a planet where the average person, herself included, and she's a person who holds political office, doesn't understand the vastness of space, like how far away Ithaca, their home, the Iron Snake's homeworld, is from her world. Like the very concept of the distance he had to travel is just mind blowing to her. So yeah, but yeah, it's there's it happens on some worlds, but it's not like some kind of cultural norm in the Imperium.
Kind of hard to get super angry about black and white people when there are literal fucking aliens, Also, likewise with
Vaush, you were literally comparing black people to black people and other, Muslims and people to monsters earlier. You were literally doing that. You don't get to tell it's like I say, you don't get to call 40K fans fascists when you compare minorities to monsters. Okay? You don't get to do that.
Homophobia. I don't think I've ever heard of gay characters in 40K. I don't know why there wouldn't be.
We literally brought up the lesbian couple in Caiaphas Cain. That's yeah. When the fuck did Caves of... Okay, some context here. He's trying to say this is a recent development. Okay, just as a baseline here, we will go with Caves of Ice. Novel 40K release date. We're using this one as a baseline because this one I know for a fact is a lesbian couple in it. First published in February 1st, 2004.
See, he's a casual consumer. He's obviously consumed some stuff, but no lens.
I honestly, no, I wouldn't be that nice. I'd call him a tourist. He's probably only looking up what little info he knows specifically to try to do this. We need to, what do you call it? Demilitarize the 40K, well, not demilitarize, okay, to use the language of a person I know Vaush loathes, denazify the 40K fandom. Some people will get who I'm quoting there.
I think some modern stuff sometimes,
Novel from 2004, Vaush.
Against mutants, but not actual races. Yeah, I know. But I mean, in terms of like our modern understanding of these problems, in the future, 40K media is probably going to be more racially diverse. They've been trying to make more female.
No, wait.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
And non-white characters in their miniatures, which is really, really nice, I think. Which is definitely a step in the right direction. Their books are probably going to be a little bit more inclusive with the human element, which is nice.
Okay. There were we'll just say non-white. There were non-white characters showing up in 40K as far back as like in that borderline between second and third edition, like off the top of my head, I'm not saying like this is for certain. This is off the top of my head. The Vitrian Dragoons from First and Only, a book written in I want to say that was the late 90s, like the very late 90s was First and Only. Well, I want to confirm this. First and Only novel.
Can I point out a mind-numbing chat member real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm typing this in on my phone.
Geodude has written, the lack of gay characters sorta implies the Imperium doesn't like that though.
Yeah, we point out before, the Imperium doesn't give a shit. It literally could care less, as long as you like. Okay, I found the release date. I'm sorry to cut off this. First and Only was written in 1999. Was released in 1999. We had a all black Imperial Guard regiment called the Vitrian Dragoons. They're fucking awesome, by the way. And they also got some of the as the kids call it, the drippiest armor. So, yeah, go fuck yourself, Vaush. You are decades late to the discussion. Anyway.
Dan Abnett, I think, does this really well. Dan Abnett wrote the first Horus Heresy book, and today he wrote the whole Eisenhorn trilogy, and the most modern trilogy that he's been writing, the Beckwin trilogy, has a female protagonist. A female protagonist who isn't even an Inquisitor. She's a regular. Well, she's not regular by any means. She's an.
I want to point out. There was he's trying to point out how inclusive it is to have a female character. And are we going to ignore the fact that Beckwin showed up in the first Eisenhorn novel? Or also he brought up the Horus Heresy?
He's saying female protagonist.
I mean, okay, there's been other book. What do you? Does he even know Sisters of Battle exist in Ned novels before this?
I don't know. It seems like he's trying to push the point of a female protagonist who isn't an inquisitor, or
Oh, so okay, so
I-
he's doing that thing where where it's like you bring up a female protagonist and then they start slapping more and more qualifiers on like that, so it doesn't count. You know,
seems so.
like, oh, this is a female protagonist. Is she sexualized? Is she is she forced to is she pushed into a forced romance with a man? Blah blah blah. That stuff. That was a popular one. Anita Sarkeesian's sycophants like to argue when he'd point out female protagonists in video games going back all the way to the dawn of video games.
Null, but she's cool. Dan Abnett's done a lot of good writing. Null, she's like an anti-psychic, basically. That's her thing. She's anti-psychic. Null, Null.
Well, there's only 2 minutes left.
Beckwin series is wonderful. The Assassinatorum has a few ambiguously gendered characters. Yeah. Well, the more we expose this stuff to a broader audience, the more the Games Workshop company will work to be inclusive. And the more that happens, the more this community becomes available to everyone. And I think...
I Millie, haven't you heard you're not allowed to like Warhammer?
I don't want it to be inclusive. I want it to be cool as fuck, and I have something to look at.
Well, I've gone on about this before, and it's something Vaush and his ilk don't understand. Is that the broader audience doesn't like this stuff. They don't like this kind of very deliberate politicized pandering. They don't. That's why Star Wars died. Star Wars died because when he means the broader audience, he means the far left extremist audience. The term broader audience has been used by the far left, like Vaush, but what they mean is the extremist left. And this kind of pandering, like, we've seen where this goes so many times now. And I've gone off about this before, how making 40K accessible means ease of entry and ease of entry and ease of entry and ease of understanding. Like Space Marine 2 is an excellent example. Space Marine 2 is about a couple of is the story of a 7-foot tall white guy and his 2 7-foot tall battle buddies who go and murder space bugs and dusty armor boys for like 8 hours, and then you play the multiplayer a lot. That kind of stuff, stories that can get you in without much commitment to the wider setting. It gets more people to like 40K than what he's talking about, which is just pandering for his particular politics. I love the Black Templars, I love the Black Templars. There's nothing in the world, in the Black Templars, in their lore, that has to do with being a homosexual male. Not a goddamn thing. I still love them. And I'll point out my classic statement. My childhood heroes growing up were a giant radioactive fire-breathing dinosaur and a alien robot that turns into a truck. So, yeah, this whole idea that to reach the broader audience, we need to pander to my far left politics. You alienate people on the left with that too, because smart people know when they're being pandered to, and it doesn't feel good. Like, am I crazy for thinking that?
Nah, you're not crazy. A lot of genuinely sane people on the left are just like, ew, I don't like this. Feel like I'm sitting beside some stupid kindergarten teacher. And they're basically like condescending to me with this oh, you like this, don't you? You like this story? Yeah, you like this content? This story about the strong female character who's able to outdo all the chuds around her?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it brings me back to me with Gundam Wing in high school. I couldn't stand the fucking yaoi pandering, and I was openly gay in high school, and it's like, yeah, I couldn't stand that shit. I couldn't stand the Fujoshis breathing down my neck about it constantly because they thought I would like it because it's like, oh, he's the gay one, he'll like it. It's like, no, I don't fucking like it. The show fucking sucks.
I want more Night Lords content. I've found myself lacking in Night Lords.
Well, I mean, you are a
Hmm?
woman, so
That's fair.
sorry, I had to.
That's honestly just really fair.
All right, he has like 1 minute, literally 1 minute left. So let's let him finish.
Let him cook for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's delightful. Is it possible for a Warhammer story to have a satisfying happy ending? Oh, I think that Warhammer stories that have happy endings are lovely. Warhammer as a universe cannot have a happy ending. Gotcha, Den209. I guess I should finish reading all of this. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that were the case, though. The Emperor is shown to be imperfect just from the very first book of the Horus Heresy. I didn't talk about it much either while going over all this, but the Imperium of Man is rampantly xenophobic as well. Very, very xenophobic. Like, as xenophobic as anything can imagine. Like, they would encounter, like, human settlements that have, like, evolved differently and be like, nah, not close enough. Not close enough to us. Goodbye.
Forgive me, but don't beastmen exist within the Imperium?
Yeah,
Societal structure?
Beastmen, Ogrins, Longshanks, Nightsiders,
Ratlings, obviously.
Ratlings, yeah, like he like this is what I mean by him being a fucking tourist because yeah, the whole concept of abhumans. I mean, shit, the kin convinced the Imperium they're human. And the Imperium are like, okay, you can play along.
Hey, shout out to Masa's Longshank woman character. I love her.
Listen,
draw more of that character, please.
No, I like the Nightsider, the Nightsider girl she drew, and the art of her coming home to her family. Like,
oh yeah, that was adorable.
Yeah, like battle scarred. She's got some prosthetic limbs now, but she made it home. Like that was unironically adorable. But
I love that Longshank woman.
But
that just reminded me that because of the artwork, navigators are abhumans.
Oh yeah, no, it's not like it's like there's an entire cabal of fucking mutant humans with third eyes that can see into the fucking warp and kill you if you look into the third eye. That basically have an uncontested monopoly on interstellar travel.
They had such a stranglehold that even the Emperor had to go, all right, got to plan around that.
Yeah, no, seriously. That's why the Emperor didn't talk about his human webway project, because if the Navigator Guilds found out, they'd be like, fuck you, and shut down all the FTL travel until the Emperor did something to, not do it anymore. So it's like, yeah. So yeah, what more is there to say here? Vaush doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Whether he's talking about people on the right, whether he's talking about Warhammer. It's like, Vaush, I label you a Warhammer tourist. Throw your minis away. Throw them out. Throw them out. You don't deserve them. Throw them out.
Okay, my take on this. I don't care if you're left leaning. I don't care if you're right leaning. Dog, just enjoy the content. Enjoy the medium. That's all there is, man.
Yeah, I mean, that really is it, isn't it? I mean, like, listen, I've known people who are vehemently against my politics, like my personal politics, who like Warhammer for what it is, don't do the political bullshit. I get along with them just fine.
We literally played a Warhammer game even.
Yeah. I mean, it's to the point that the actual, the few, the very few actual right-wing extremists in Warhammer. There are not a lot of them. There's maybe like 100. There's maybe 100 of them. They're all in one Discord. But yeah, it's like they legit call me a leftist because I don't hate people on the left arbitrarily. But there's like there ain't enough of them to fill a Discord server. It's not a problem. It never was. And y'all motherfuckers like Vaush always got to bring up the Austrian painter incident, like milking that cow till it's got nothing left. Never mind that guy. What? The incident with the guy who showed up wearing like Spanish far right party iconography and called himself the Austrian painter at a Spanish tournament.
Wasn't there also no proof of that actually happening other than people claiming it did?
Oh no. It's essentially the guy was just doing it to get people to concede and not play against him. He didn't really believe that stuff.
Hmm.
And it worked for two. It worked for 2 rounds of the tournament. First guy he actually had to go up against, beat the pants off him in the game they played. And honestly, I'm going to say my opinion on that is the people who conceded were cowards. Props to the guy who actually played against him, and beat him fair and square. But yeah, there was no there was never been a right wing extremism problem in Warhammer, and people conflate a handful of retards on the internet who honestly just are as irrelevant as the woke left in Warhammer. That's really what it is. The whole argument, both sides, is irrelevant, and it's just that the people making the argument, but especially the woke left side, believe themselves so important that
Hey, Bo.
hey, what?
I'm sending you something.
Oh, okay. I will check it out. Oh, nah. I'll do that one another time. I'll do. We'll go after Arbitrator Ian another time. But we'll go after his videos another time. But yeah, if y'all want some, okay, like I said, if y'all want some actual good takes on what 40K is about, I'm gonna link FeralHistorian down below. Go watch him. He has better take. Guy knows his shit. But yeah, that's the video, everyone. Thank you for suffering with us. I am sorry. I guess I'll catch y'all next time. Thank you for coming, everyone. For you guys for suffering with me.
Fuck Erebus. Fuck Erebus.
It says the Word Bears fan, like a true Word Bears fan. But yeah, this has been Marshall Bohemond. I will catch y'all later.
Later's all.
Yep. See ya.
Bye.